All right, screen share. Just the window, just music, and we've got ourselves a game. He's good. We've already good. Okay, let's hop to it. Welcome back, everybody. Let me see if I can get it all right. The current, uh, let's see, the current day as it is this. Okay, got it. Today is the 5th of Discar, and you find yourselves in, out in the wastes, out in the Neverfields, as it were, the Arctic, and largely unexplored portions of Tal'Dorei. You are ferrying this jagged black crown of some kind, ferrying it as you have decided amongst yourselves that the best place to harbor such evil is Vasselheim, the holy city in the north. It is there that you can find the people of good faith, the people with magical powers and knowledge and wisdom to lock and seal it away, hopefully forever. But getting there will be no small task. You have attempted once to try and recruit your old ship to come and get you, but it seemed that um, you'll have to go through more official channels or the like. Didn't seem to recognize or, yeah, I think you offered to pay them as like a sort of like pickup service, and they're like, this is a prototype ship or not.
Hmm.
So we'll have to check in on that. But many things have happened. Um, let's see. Your the sky swimmers of Lyrangorn were dispatched to come help you, and they themselves found themselves quite outmatched by the horrors of the waste, sent presumably by the Spider Queen herself, a sort of initial ambush force to try and retrieve the crown that ended not very successfully for them. You guys proved your mettle in that moment. You made your way forward. We got to see Glint and Ember up to some um, MacGyvering skills out here in the wastes and created a very interesting sleigh for the party. Glint used that time to copy a spell. You made your way through, found yourself ambushed once more by that pesky white dragon, who got the drop on you, but his great plan to drown you guys one by one did not seem to go off the way he hoped, and made a fleet escape. You then all decided that further precautions were necessary. Glint rose an army of undead from the corpses of the fallen evils, and you guys have all basically entrenched yourself in the Arctic, much as the Roman Legion would. Um, you all found yourselves at rest, and after Glint having himself a pretty horrific nightmare, you all began to try and deal with the crown, and the crowd seemed to pervade an excessive power, trying to ward away anyone who would not, who it seems to have picked to be like, don't touch me, um, which included vomiting black ichor flowing out of your eyes, and all kinds of nonsense stuff. Um, uh, it will take a little bit of shall we say, endurance against these uh, horrific forces that are trying to pervade you from sealing it away in your own means for as long as you can. But still quite possible. I just want to highlight that I may have made it seem pretty hard to interact with the crown last session. I don't mean to imply that it is impossible to do so. So just to put that out there. Um, but while trying to deal with this crown menace and it being a sort of moody bitch about you guys touching it, um, you found yourselves approached by two strangers in the dark, which is where we will pick up today. So from the very minuscule visibility here in the tundra, you see two figures come towards you. They are not dressed in the normal heavy winter gear that would be expected. They are in, you can't see much. They're only in silhouette, but you clearly can't see they're in thick hides or furs of any kind. Um, they have cloaks that are pretty heavily tattered along the bottom or in serious needing of some mending. Um, but these guys are dressed like you might dress on the streets of Emon. Not very prepared for the Arctic, but seemingly not too dysfunctional. Again, they're silhouetted, so you can't make much details other than their cloaks billowing in the wind and the lack of weather protection. What is it that the party would like to do?
Whose watch is this on?
You were all up at this.
Oh,
Oh, right.
Sorry, but you're all up at this point because of the crown nonsense. So everybody should be awake at this point.
Okay.
Your little skelly dudes. I'm gonna say one of the outskirt ones came in because you wanted it to pick up the crown. Where is the crown right now? I believe it's in another bag of holding. At this
Finch
point.
has
Yeah.
it.
It's in a box. It's in that box that.
Oh, that's right. It's in your box. So you have a Spider Queen reliquary of sorts now, with the box with it inside, and we will deal with that in due time. But you have one skelly standing in the hole with you. The rest of the skellies are outside. Two of them sort of like mush through the snow to kind of like take a forward position, and all of your other skellies kind of turn their attention overward and arm their crossbows.
I love them so much.
We're doing great.
Let me see what the range on that is.
It's so nice having a staff.
Right?
Yeah, I've got a range of 60 feet, so straight out towards them, I'm going to drop a bonfire 60 feet out.
Got it. Let's drop you a bonfire.
The skeletons are already more or less ready for trouble, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to give them a command to ready anything in that respect because they're already kind of set up.
I'm imagining your command was something along the lines of like protect
Yeah.
us, and they're doing that. So you drop this flame out there, Ember. I'm gonna say that's given the distance, I'm gonna say they're at the edge of the dim light. At this point, you look over to them. Again, you can't see much. You see a little bit more of their clothing. Some of the colors there, blacks and browns, nothing too showy, nothing that really gives off any like they're from here or they've done this. It's very sort of worn traveler's clothing. They look, from what you can see, they look a little pale, not terribly surprising given the temperature. I will say you do see the firelight kind of reflect off of their eyes. You know how like a dog or a cat, you can kind of see light reflect off the back of their eye. Not really seen in humanoid a lot, but you do see it in these creatures. It's not unheard of amongst humanoid, but you see it amongst them.
How far away are they?
Let's find out. From the edge of your little dome there, they are 85 feet.
Crap, just out of range.
Could Glint tap a finger to his ear with the earring of message that was pierced in as part of joining TAC, and cast message at one of them?
You sure can at 120 feet. You want right or do you want left?
The one on the right.
Okay, the one on the right. Yep, go ahead.
We're not quite sure who you are, but you are approaching our camp. Would you like to announce yourselves politely?
It will speak and say, yes, hello. Of course, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jorin. I don't know much else of myself, admittedly.
bet he's a man of wealth and taste.
They don't seem entirely hostile. One of their names is Jorin. Um,
Oh, they can make themselves comfortable by the fire.
Glint will tap the earring again and expend another charge. Well, hello, Jorin. My name is Glint. If you'd like to make yourself comfortable at the fire, you may. Why are you here?
I've come in hopes of aid. You see, I'm a being not terribly accepted amongst humanoid kind, and for good reason. I have died before, and I am not all alive still, but my matron saw it fit to come aid. But I must warn you, my companion, I do not know if they come with great intention. They say they also were sent, but I feel obligated to warn you.
Glint will relay this to the party. And then charge 3. You say you've died, but you're undead then? Do you know of what kind you might be?
Roll a... Yes, I remember falling and seeing the great porcelain mask, and then speaking to the winged one, and he said I would be as he and walk for a short time until my task was complete. That's right. I am what is known as revenant.
As a necromancer, would I be familiar? And
You
if
may
so,
go ahead and roll an Arcana check, certainly.
Okay.
Considering your area of study, I will provide advantage.
Oh, excellent. So that's going to be with advantage. Best rolls a 27.
Hey, man, what's cooler than Vox Machina? Like, what's cooler than Vox Machina? And you, as a necromancer, I think sussed out a couple of things about the legends of Vox Machina that others may not have, which is the form in which you recognize that Vasselheim came back from the dead, and the stories probably spoke greatly of resurrections and such, not something that they didn't perform, but you would recognize that his appearance, his return after his many deaths, was like an undead species known as revenants, which are essentially creatures that are burdened with great vengeance and purpose. So much so that their soul cannot restfully pass on to the land of the dead before their task is complete. So, and that was much Vasselheim, as he was known in Vox Machina, and that is perhaps who this one is. Basically, until their task, usually a task based on vengeance, until that task is complete, they cannot pass on. And it is very difficult to kill a revenant, permanently anyway.
Interesting. And he said his name was Jorin, is that correct? Okay. That doesn't ring any bell, does it?
No. Oh, history check.
Oh.
Or I'll give you investigation too, if you wish.
I'll go with history. Ooh. That's only a 13.
A 13? I'm afraid you do not recognize it.
Okay. Charge 4.
Okay.
Jordan, if you are a revenant, you likely have a mission or a purpose. Do you mind if I ask what it is?
My purpose is to see the evil you carried brought to sanctuary, brought to concealment. I have been led to understand that is your purpose. I don't fully understand my purpose, but I know it must be done.
All right, going to like take a moment and still very woozy and probably with like a cold, clammy sweat because of horrible nightmares and illness. Friends, at least one of them seems to be undead, of the reasoning kind, and claims to be here to assist us in moving the ground to some place to safely seal it. He does warn us against his companion.
Can we talk to the companion?
Not yet. Honestly, these things only have like maybe a few minutes of on the plan every day. We can change over to another earring if he wants to, get the most out of the data plan. But we might be best suited exiting the sphere for proper parley, I suppose.
Revenant seat?
They don't need to, by my understanding.
You would know that they have no bodily requirements whatsoever.
The bodies are undead. They simply are very good at returning until their task is finished, at least. I believe he may well serve the Raven Queen. He said his name is Joran. Does anyone know what Joran?
Could I do a history check?
I think so. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, we'll use while you think. Go ahead.
I got an 11.
11, you're not sure, I'm afraid.
You said history, or was it history or investigation?
History or investigation, that's right.
Okay, well then we'll probably be taking investigation because that's. Oh yeah, we'll be taking investigation. Thank you. That's not great. 13.
As the name Joran doesn't ring any bells. Like, you've heard of Jorans in your life, but nothing of significance
Not
that's
like
tied
me.
to the situation. Yeah.
Anyone else? Could I roll one?
I'm afraid you couldn't, Finch.
Okay.
I'd love to tell you why, but I can't.
In due time.
If I'm not mistaken, it's the same case for you.
Well, the way I figure it is we have about 20 almost skeletons aiming at these two. And there are some 7 of us. Is 7 right? 6 plus Beverly, and then... Well, there's also Finn.
8 if you count Phil, yeah.
Yeah, so there's some 27 of us and 2 of them. I think we can probably exit the bubble for proper
At least
negotiations.
get a closer look.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the crown itself and you, Glint, should stay right here.
Fair enough.
If Zervog will cover me, I'll happily go out and chit chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll take care of you. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I got your
And
back.
again, as warning, he did say that his companion claims to have a similar mission to him, but he does not wholly trust it. So there may be two different agencies at play here.
Fair enough.
All right.
Okay.
And last charge, we're going to send someone else to discuss in person.
He will just say, very well. And that'll be that. Yeah, Zarvolg will say, don't worry, Fireboy. You may not see me, but I got your back. And he'll run out into the thunder. And then we'll go with.
And I'll head out to my bonfire.
Understood. Zarvolg and Ben are on loose, baby. They kind of will vanish into the tundra, undoubtedly. All right. And you will make your way out to the flame, and at this distance, you begin to see more of them. At this point, with your dark vision, as I believe you have.
I do, but to be perfectly honest with you, because it will lighten them, I'll use control flame and double the brightness.
Fair enough. The flame will exude extra light in this moment, and the two of them sort of there is a momentary like against the intense light, but then they cease. Fairly normal reaction, and you will see them pretty intensely. They don't look like the healthiest individuals. Their paleness is intensely so, to the point where there isn't flush on the cheek from the cold wind. You do see that their eyes do have that reflective manner, but there's like almost like a red at the edge of the iris for both of them. The individual on the right, known as Joran, he has a fairly like it seems like a fairly like almost military cut. That's kind of obviously windswept in this moment. The clothing looks a little bit more like, again, very old, very tattered, in need of mending, but there is something almost military to his garb. No armor to speak of. He does have a sword, like a rusty old greatsword across his back. You look at the other one, and you will see, similarly in, actually a little bit more priestly looking, very, very dulled out, difficult to know what it was, almost like vestments at one point, but like the extra accoutrement has been discarded. Again, fairly tattered, doesn't look quite as warrior-esque, but still looks like the sleeves and whatnot have the flexibility. Maybe this might have been a paladin at one point, or a war cleric, you don't know. Monk, maybe, who knows? This one does not bear a weapon per se, but does have like what looks to be like a fairly makeshift wand, probably like a branch that was snipped off somewhere and whittled into something manageable for the sake of being a wand, at the hip and a dagger at the other. A little more slender than Joran is in the shoulders, but still a man, and similarly has the military-looking cut. And both will sort of see you and will address you and like slightly bow the head in regard.
Please, come forward. I don't think the
Uh,
warmth is going to do you any good, but it does do me a fair amount.
There's a slight chuckle from the one on the left, the priestly-looking one. They both step forward, and the heat will sort of begin to thaw some of the frost gathering upon them, and they become much more easy to see in the dark. The one who you've already spoken to on the right says, I'm Joran. I hope it is not too odd in that I don't know much of myself, but I am Joran.
I'm pleased to meet you, Joran. My name is Ember.
Ember, good to meet you.
Likewise.
And this is my companion, and the companion will say, "Hello, I am Targos." That's a stupid last name. I am Targos Glory Force. Sure, we'll pick that one. Sorry.
Lori Force.
Yeah, Targos Glory Force.
Pleasure to make both of your acquaintance.
A pleasure. A pleasure. The one on the left says, the one that's more in garb says, and may the Moonweaver protect your path, as hopefully the Raven Queen keep you from any untimely fate. Me and my companion have been sent from beyond to aid. The gods can only help so much from beyond the divine gate, but they can send agents, and I believe that is why we are here.
Well, we are happy to receive aid. You'll pardon a degree of incredulity in that this is largely the middle of nowhere, and unless there was significant assistance in you arriving here, you've either been on the road for quite some time, or something else has placed you in what is an alarmingly random path.
Torgos kind of smirks and he says, "Well, you all move a lot faster than I'd have expected in such deep snow. But it helps that you all need to rest and we do not. It helps us gain a little lost time. So, no, we've been traveling since, how long has it been, Jorn?" And Jorn goes, the sun has rose only once, I think it was. He goes, yes, only about only once. We come from the temple. These forms of flesh, these past forms of flesh, we inhabit to make the travel. So we started where you did, but you obviously had a head start on us.
I see.
Oh, good.
I'm given to understand that people of your we'll call it lineage are highly motivated individuals. And I understand that you say you don't remember a lot about your particulars, but surely if, and I will point at the priest, the Moonweaver, or the Raven Queen, pointing to Joran, were so instrumental in your previous lives. You must remember a little bit about why you were so heavily devoted to them.
Joran, you see his brow crinkle, very much the look of someone trying to seize memory. But Torgo speaks immediately. He says, I recall indeed quite well, for it was a great long time ago that I did serve the prime deities with all of my force of will. Um, I ended up here around the end of my life, and I swore myself to the cause of my friends and my allies. And with the removal of that cause from its original sanctuary, I find myself rose again. And I find myself once more indebted to the path that I once devoted to myself in life.
Looking them over,
Yeah.
are there any pieces of symbology? I know when we encountered the champion of the Raven Queen, there was, a very heavily pro Raven motif about him. And even the priest that we have dealt with had that as kind of a common theme. Are there any of those telltales that are visible?
Yeah, make me a perception or investigation check to look them over.
24 for investigation.
24. You look them both over. Joran, the one who seems a little more lost for memory, again, looks to have what seems to be a gambeson. Basically like the under portion of like a more heavily armored kit. But the armor itself not there. In tatters, of course, so not providing much protection at all to the weather or otherwise. And you're not seeing a lot of symbology with him. His sword is old and rusted, nothing exceptional, but you do see a lot of symbology with Torgos. Torgos bears no symbols, like no active amulets or anything like that. But you look over the vestments and you do see symbols of the Moonweaver, faintly sort of almost half lost through like the worn coloration of the fabrics and the torn and tatterness. So yeah, you do see Moonweaver symbology with Torgos.
Well, you should feel free to make yourself comfortable. We're ensconced to keep us out of the weather and until morning, but I can keep this lit to at least allow you to thaw.
Sorry, you're suggesting like that they have the fire out here for as long as they require? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Joran says, thank you. It is, though the cold isn't as exhausting, it is nice to be able to move your arms a little more freely. Thank you. Torgos says, indeed, it's very kind, though perhaps for the sake of carefulness, as we are all getting to know one another, that we, as you suggested, stay here at the fire a little further.
We're planning on continuing towards the coast with the dawn. So, and you're welcome to trudge along with us.
Joran says, and that is my purpose. That is our purpose. So we will do that.
Now,
Torgos says, and in whatever capacity you please, my friend.
Be aware that we have suffered at least 2 ambushes so far, and firmly suspect that we will have that happen again. And one of our ambushers is a white worm of some power, and at least some mean cunning.
They look at each other, and Joran looks at you with a nod and says, I'm more melee capable myself, but we can certainly keep an eye out for things easily enough. Exhaustion not being of the worry, so scouting is absolutely something, if that is what you require.
Okay. Well, we will see you when we get ready to roll out in the morning.
Joran bows his head once more, as such, and Torgos as well, and say, I'd say for the Moonweaver to keep guiding you, but I see you have all the illusion you need with your snow globe over there, so sleep well.
Thank you. And I will retreat back to the dome.
The both of them kind of sit in the snow, kind of settle into the snow around the fire, and yeah, and that's kind of what they do. And you can check on them if you wish. But you return back to the snow globe and the warmth within. And Zarvolg will, but a moment or two later as well.
And then I will data dump all of that.
Got it. The event has been uploaded to all of you.
Are we getting towards the end of what would be second watch?
Yeah, I recall Zarvolg and yourself were second watch, right?
Yeah, and all of this happened.
Yeah. I will say that we're getting close to the end of second watch, yeah.
The plan had been at the end of second watch for us to do the dream spell, and he wanted me to do it because I have spoken to the coin mistress a bit more, and you can't talk to Allura because she's all guarded. So we've done it before. Apparently, all he has to do is put his hand on me.
Okay. We will
do the thing. So
sure. Yeah. We will say that. Yeah. You a hand is laid on you by Zarvolg, and you enter into this trance, and he will connect you to the dreams of the coin mistress. Yeah, I think. I'm gonna just roll a dice to determine this. Yeah, no, you will connect to her dreams. Certain individuals are very popular and need their sleep, but it seems that the coin mistress allows her mind a little more free. You find yourself connecting to her mind, and you. Oh, okay. Give that a moment. All right.
oh, good. He was losing his mind.
All good, no problem at all. Let's see. You guys will sit back, or you will sit back and kind of enter into this dream space, and you find there is it is a forest for the most part, in a long grove, and less of a grove and more of a pass between two forests, and you see a woman who looks very similar to the coin mistress, with blue feathers behind her ear and a long braid down the back, a little bit more prepared. A a bow on her back, a little bit more simple, wearing lots of blues and a cloak as such. She walks alongside two figures, one being a brown bear, no larger than her hip, and on her right is a black cloaked figure, wearing dark leathers and in the face looks just like her. And he goes, for fuck's sake, Vax, like, when are we going to get into another city? I don't like it out here. And she says, brother, the wilds are good for you. Look how much you've grown. You've been so, you always run off when you get to the city. It's nice to spend a little time out here. Yep.
She'd wanted to control this going in because she does not want to invade. So as soon as she starts to see things, the whole thing starts to very gently fade.
Okay.
And as it comes back up, she's sitting in Alora's office.
Okay.
She's waiting for someone. She doesn't know who she's waiting for. But she's sitting alone in Alora's office. And that is where...
Is she old Vex or is she coin mistress Vex?
She's coin mistress Vex.
Got it. The dream sort of strangely subsides and she finds herself sitting, perhaps thinking she's waiting for Allura, and you walk in, presumably?
And Yvain walks in. With her long hair and everything, so she's probably going to stop and say, Madam Coin Mistress.
She goes, oh yes, I remember you.
Please forgive the intrusion.
Well, it's not my office.
No, but it is your dream.
Oh, fuck. And
I'm
she kinda... Yeah. She, like, stands up, kinda dusts her hands, and very, very, with good... Like, with elegance, will just sort of put her hands in front of her and say, so this is business, of course. Not often caught off guard. What can I do for you?
Apologies, Coin Mistress. Again, I would never intrude in this space. During our vacation in Livengorn, there was a bit of a hubbub, and the Aurora Concordant has come into possession of the vestige of divergence for the Spider Queen. We were wondering if you could send an airship to us to bring us to Vasselheim, because this thing is like making sphinxes leak black ichor out of their eyes, and like the paladin feels nauseous, and a couple of other people are throwing up black stuff. So
okay. Well, we're gonna turn it back just for a moment, if you don't mind. Fucking what? The vestige of divergence of the Spider Queen. You claim to have this.
No, and I will actually show her where we are. We have it. Here's what happened, and I will like kind of very quickly, almost like it with a movie, like she's
PowerPoints. Wonderful.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you give her a PowerPoint. Reasons why the crowns suck. Number 1. And you give her the PowerPoint. Absolutely. She goes, I want you to make her a persuasion check to see if she believes you in all of this.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna use my inspiration.
Okay.
I don't that wasn't awesome. That was decidedly meh. So we're in
decidedly meh roll.
Oh, there we go. That is an 18.
Very nice. She says, well, fuck. Suppose we better do something about this. Huh. Well, all right then. I as soon as I wake up, I will speak with Allura. I'm due to the Tal'Dorei Council anyway. And we'll confirm with you in the morning. And well, what's your plan?
The plan is to get it to Lyring, or is to get it to Vasselheim, excuse me. The
Oh, you're trying to get your second trip out of this, are you?
No, we can all be the same trip, actually.
No, don't worry. I respect it.
But no, consider this. If this thing is calling drow to it, then let's get it off a continent and in a place where there's literally no drow. And a volcano we can pitch it in if we're really all that worried about it. Probably shouldn't throw it in the volcano.
Well, just be careful in Asira. Just because we know about drow here doesn't mean that there isn't any there. Asira is largely unexplored, other than Vasselheim. But it is a good thought, and you'll need to get there. So we'll pick out an airship and send it your way, I suppose. I'll have to talk to Allura. I much rather like the idea of just a straight teleportation, but we'll have to discuss it.
We do have people capable of teleportation circle, but they needed a sigil, I think, of some sort. But we do have people capable of it. We would just need a sign or a picture, or I don't know the spell myself.
Well, it's too bad that I'm asleep right now, or I would have gone on it immediately. It may just be faster to just start sending a ship rather than try and organize. I hear teleportation's rather tricky, especially when you've never been there before. But we'll start working on this. I'll speak with the lure in the morning, and we will make sure arrangements are being set up immediately.
Of course. And when I return to Emon, I assume you'll want a full reward?
Oh, sure, of course.
If there's nothing else, Coin Mistress, I will leave you to your sleep.
Thank you. And good luck. Be careful. Vestiges are annoying little shits. They, I'm sure I don't need to explain to you the kind of attention they draw.
Oh, we've noticed the dragon, etc.
I expect a dragon.
Oh yeah. So she'll actually.
No, you said that in bullet 13. I remember.
Oh, that's right. So
right.
He keeps running away before we can kill him.
Dodgy bastard. Do what we did and summon a demon if you can.
We're not opposed to it, really. All right.
Okay. Well, good luck and be very careful, and we will start trying to figure this out immediately.
As you wish. Rest well, Queen Mistress.
All right, you as well.
No.
You back out.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything anyone would like to do before returning to set watches? Okay. Yvain, you and Zarvolg find your way to rest. And all of you will undergo a long rest. The further watches continue, but you undergo a long rest without further issue. I imagine you all sort of sleeping in kind of a circle around, and this reliquary sort of sitting in the middle of the tent in between all of you, so as not to create too much discomfort. And you all find yourself to a rest. The only thing I will say is that though none of you experience anything as intense as what Glint experienced, as it sits in the middle, your dreams are what they are, but you can't help but feel like there was a little sort of whisper behind whatever your dream was. If you were dreaming of the rousing spark or Emon or Terra or wherever, whatever your dreams were, there's just almost this, like, I dare to use the word insidious, but not quite. Almost like a secret, a whisper on the wind, just behind whatever, just at the periphery of your hearing. Is there just this feminine whisper, the edge of the wind, like something trying to speak to you, but not quite. And you will all wake up with a long rest. And for your daily weather report, it is back to being very cloudy and hard to see anywhere you go. But luckily, you have a snow dog sleigh or a snow skeleton sleigh or whatever you want to call it.
Convenient yet terrifying.
Convenient yet terrifying. You all awaken and you see that your new revenant pals are largely frozen over.
Oh,
But as you, like, not entirely, but as you guys begin to rise and the dome goes down, begin moving about. Before the dome goes down, as I imagine you'd like to do this somewhat in secret, where does the now corrupted reliquary of Bahamut go? You're muted, Finch, if you're speaking.
I think we discussed having the Skelly boys protect it in some capacity. I think that was the safest route. I don't know how, but I think we said any other persons carrying it right now seem to be detrimental.
I have an idea. So Glint's going to go to, I suppose, his favorite precious child.
Which one's your favorite?
That'll
They all
clearly
look
be.
at you with like big skeleton eyes and blink a
It's-
couple times.
It's
Somehow the
Frederick.
eye socket's giving it.
He has the most
Oh, yes.
HP.
Which
Aw.
one?
It's Frederick. He has the most HP currently.
Frederick proudly walks up to the other 4 skellies who are armored. Go.
Yeah. Glenn's
Shove
gonna
them out of the way.
carefully like
just shoves-
unbuckle. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's all. He just comes up to you.
Yeah. Glenn's gonna carefully unbuckle the front plate of the armor, and then just put the whole reliquary in the opening of the rib cage.
He's looking at you like this. As you just like stuff this thing up into his rib cage.
Ember, do you mind your help with the little snow block here? I'm thinking of just sealing it inside. You know, packing some snow in, then making sure it's properly frozen.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine that was a yes from Ember. And with the shape water, yeah, it can be frozen into the rib cage underneath. And Frederick's like, and the other 4 skeletons are all like arms around each other, like pointing and like skeleton laughing at Frederick, which is nonverbal because they don't have
Excellent.
they don't have voice or anything.
Then Glenn's gonna carefully seal the breastplate back up, you know, make sure it's all locked up tight, all the straps are tightened again. And then just, you know, give a little knock on the breastplate. You're my favorite son.
A single tear falls down Frederick's cheek and then freezes, and he returns back to work. Yvain?
Yvain would like to go up to Glint in the morning. Just check on him and see how he's doing. Feeling.
I'll put out there just to influence this is that after you all hit the sleep after the second watch, the malevolent power of the crown, that feeling of unease and sickliness, has gone down a little bit. It was almost like that thing there was like an extra sprint of bad energy in that moment, and it's kind of reduced a little bit.
I still have some lingering chest pain. I'm definitely going to leave all the lifting to the skeletons for at least a while.
Do you mind if I try something?
Certainly.
She's going to reach out and cast Greater Restoration.
Ooh, a good try, but unfortunately to no avail. You can mark off the diamond dust required to cast the spell. It was a fine try, but unfortunately his wounds are a little too much for Greater Restoration.
I had to try.
Glint burns through the requisite spell slots to upkeep the current skeleton army. 2/4, 2/3.
I trust you to know what all of those are.
Alrighty, and let me see what items I have get their charges refreshed. Oh, that's looking good. That is a D4.
Just getting your wagon ready. It was 14. You had 14 skeletons that you. So you technically have 19 going right now, right?
Correct.
Cool. Just making sure.
2 centuries and change.
Exactly. Just getting your day of travel ready, but yeah, yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss in the morning? I assume you're going to want Frederick a little closer to the cart these days.
He's going to be kind of keeping to Glint as a personal aid, which I think Glint's going to try and pass off to the revenants, as Frederick is also going to be fetching things for Glint as well to help cut down on Glint having to exert himself.
Can I make a deception check?
Sure. I think I would have disadvantage technically.
Okay.
Because I have basically a point of exhaustion that doesn't go away with the heart injury. So that's a 3.
3. All right. You're like, yeah, Frederick will, and you're like, you're a little hurt, and you're like, I'll say you basically slip up. No, I'm not gonna say you slip up because that's very revealing. You're like, I'm just gonna Frederick close. I'm just gonna Frederick close. Don't worry about it. And you kind of go away, and they're like, what was all that about? Yeah, and it's a little, maybe a little more obvious than you might have liked, but in your moment of, a little suspicious in your moment of pain, you basically come up with them and you're like, it's just gonna hang out with me, like leave him alone. And you're like, all right, sure. I will say as a note, they do look a little frozen over by the time you wake up in the morning, but once the dome comes down and skeletons start moving to prepare to go, they kind of start moving and sort of start breaking the ice off of their shoulders and start being able to stand again, and they kind of remove all the snow and frost off of their bodies and kind of come back to life, so to speak.
Does Glint know how the revenants work in terms of how they animate and with what the body situation is, or would he not have that information?
I'll give you roll really well on revenant, so I'll give that to you. Essentially, a revenant is a soul. It is a soul that cannot pass on because it has a mission to do, usually a vengeful one. However, though they will usually attempt to inhabit their body in life, should that body be destroyed, they will inhabit a new body, whatever the nearest one is, so that they may continue to complete their quest. So as far as how their body works, their bodies are considered dead. So they can't be exhausted. Many normal status effects won't work on them because of that. Because they're just a soul puppeting what's left of the flesh and bone.
Okay. And they said they animated in the tomb that we left. Is that right?
That is what Torkos said, and Jordan didn't correct him.
Is their clothing or their personal effects in line with that statement? This kind of,
That's for you guys to decide.
Okay.
I explained what they looked like, and Ember got a good look. So.
And one was kind of the Moonweaver. One was to the and just hard to kind of pin down, right?
Little military gambeson, tattered military gambeson. They both do look like they were in very old, tattered clothing.
Jordan, do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
So you're going out away. So in what capacity are you approaching? It's all very important.
I think so. We're planning on packing up, and we're preparing. And this is the morning after we've had our long rest, right?
Right.
I think Glint would approach to maybe within a 10 pace sort of distance, or probably a little bit closer. That within about 15, 20 feet.
Okay, so about here. We'll say, I'll just say Zarvolg and Fen and maybe 3 skellies that are totally essential approach with you.
Got the Frederick with me.
Yeah.
I was hoping to ask a few more questions. I haven't really properly had a chance to converse with undead such as yourselves before.
They're fine. Their cloaks are whipping in the wind and whatever, and they're like, Joran sort of nods, and Torgo says, "Good to meet you. I'm Torgos, and this is Joran, as I'm sure it's been relayed. You, however, are like, can I ask you some questions? I've made contact with the center of the Dagobah system." Kind of doing one of those. But yeah, they're completely open.
You said that you had awoken in the tomb. Is that correct?
Orko says, "Yes, it is. Yes." He like steps forward to like for sound and no more other reason. Your skellies are like, they make a very intimidating clickety clack sound as they point their spears, and he kind of stops and kind of steps back and decides to rely on volume. He says, "Yes, we awokened at separate times. I awokened, I perhaps after Joran. I'm not entirely sure, but we met out in the snowfield on the way here."
And your bodies, were they interred in that tomb?
Mine was, Joran. Joran goes, "Yeah, I awokened in the tomb, and then made my way up now."
Interesting. Because Glint, as far as I remember, Glint only saw the two sarcophaguses in that tomb. Were there others?
No, there were many.
Okay.
When you went down into the first portion after the spiral staircase, there were sarcophagi sort of like in the walls. And then when you went down the stairs around the side where the brazier was lit, there was like 4 right next to one another. And then just before the chamber where the crown was being held, there were the 2 of the actual saints. So there was quite a number.
Okay. And when you awoke, did you find anything down there at all? There was a friend of ours down there for some time, I believe.
They look at each other, and there's a bit of a pause. And Torgos says, "I don't recall seeing anything. Did you, Joran?" He goes, "Yes, I saw that there was this feline creature. I thought I was going to be attacked immediately, and then she just kind of, I presume it was a she for the lack of a mane, but just sort of went away."
Interesting. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Is there anything either of you need while we're traveling? You seem to be getting quite iced over.
Torgos will sort of smirk, and he'll say, "We are getting iced over, but it's really nothing to worry about." He will kind of like look at his hands, which are purple and like frostbitten to a degree. He said, and he kind of like does this with his hand. It seems to work fine. He says, "There's much about our bodies that shouldn't work, but it seems that being tired or miserable from the too much cold isn't one of them. We seem to be running just fine, and we have been for the last day or 2.
Interesting. Thank you.
He knows how long he's been up. I'm biffing it a little bit, which I apologize. Yeah. He says, "We've been fine for the last 2 days and 2 nights we've been traveling. So thank you, but we don't require much."
Understood. Out of character, because Glint would probably be more familiar with this than I am. He definitely is at least aware of the basic broad lines of how the Raven Queen interacts with the undead. What is the Moonweaver's stance on undead and undeath? Like, are deities sending revenants like this at all familiar? Because I know that we've heard of, Vaxeldon and with Vox Machina, but is there anything like that with the Moonweaver?
Maybe a religion check.
Okay. I'm going to use a charge of my ring to cancel out the exhaustion.
Okay.
And whoop, whoop. The 22.
22. The Moonweaver has many servants at her disposal. She doesn't really. It's not really within her domain that she minds the undead. Her perspective on the undead is probably a little more wishy-washy because it's just not her thing. If there were magic she cared about dearly, it would be probably illusion magic or divination magic. Those two would probably be her realm of interest. As far as you know, you've not really heard of undead servants of the Moonweaver. I'm gonna give you a little tidbit because you're looking for it. Perhaps in your study in Lyrengor, and maybe you were looking up on Nalus. But you learn a little bit about his fact. You learned a little of his faction. They're known as the Silver Veil, which is a very intensely devoted sect of the Moonweaver that are very much like we are the will, almost like Moonweaver Crusaders, if you will, but they're very monkly almost. It's a very complex sect, and you could probably check in with him more. But as far as the servants of the Moonweaver go, no, she doesn't really interact with undead.
Got it. Okay, interesting. Thank you. Glint will just sort of nod, and then
She'd more, just as a quick, she'd more interact with Fae or Celestials themselves if we're talking about planar beings.
Got it. Okay. And I need to manage my spells because I was preparing sending today, just in case we wanted to use that again.
Which is a very good point. In this moment, as you're all packing up, getting ready to go, it was you who sent it, Yvain. So they're going to send to someone else just to be sure and cover the basis. I'm going to say, they don't know who you are, Nick, so I was going to hit you up, but they don't know who you are. I'll say Finch. You are the moral high ground of the party. Finch Andegard, you are going to, while this conversation's going on, you are going to receive a sending from Allura Vysoren. She's going to say, Finch.
Yes.
We received a. Sorry, I was looking for my words. Yeah.
Yes.
Finch.
Message over.
Yeah. Okay. Finch, we received a disturbing report last night here at the council. We wanted to confirm, but Yvain sent a dream to the coin mistress. Can you confirm?
And I'll take a minute to process all of that. Would Yvain have communicated? I just want to make sure everything's above the table. Would Yvain have communicated? I just want to make sure, like, the contents of that dream. Okay.
Absolutely. In fact, I thought I had said that, like, I had not tried to make a secret of that I was going to dream. I thought we actually already all discussed that. So yeah.
Got it. Okay.
We've woken up and briefed everyone on the contents of that message.
Cool.
I
All right.
for not making that
No, that's fair. I couldn't remember either. Okay. So if that's the case, then okay. Then Finch will respond. I can confirm everything Yvain said is true.
Okay. There is a pause. You're gonna see actually Zarvolg his eyes kind of float up to the air. In that way most people do when they're receiving a sending, where they're kind of like focusing and taking in the information. And this goes on for about a minute, and then he is going to look at you guys and essentially say, okay, Allura just said to keep going towards the coast to the east, and they're gonna send a sky ship in the region immediately, so we start moving out.
All right.
Finch, you're gonna receive one more sending, which is it'll be more Yvain. Actually, this one's going to you, Yvain, from Allura once more, and says, clearly arrangements are being made. Thank you for reaching out. We'll explain decisions later, but know we are sending help that is discreet but effective.
Understood. We'll send a beacon twice a day.
Okay, cool.
I'll convey all of that.
Got it. And with that, the sendings will be complete. I apologize, Glint. I think I just wanted to get that off my plate quick before.
Oh
I
no,
forgot
you're
about
good. You're good.
And
yep.
Ember had said something about sending beacons twice a day, so I don't know what that entails, but I'm going to let Ember know that you said you were going to do the thing. That ostensibly they're going to be looking for it. With head and discreet help is coming. Yeah, so
That's not a problem.
Okay. Okay, sorry, Glint, why don't we return to your conversation? I apologize for the prelude or
No, you're
the
good.
sideshow. Okay, so last we left off with your conversation, we were talking about the Moonweaver's servants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, sorry, please continue.
Okay, so Glint knows that the tomb was devoted to the Moonweaver and the Morning Lord, right?
That's right.
So the bodies there would understandably be devoted to the Moonweaver or the Morning Lord. So it makes sense for someone's body that's appropriated potentially by a revenant to have that on their person. Okay. Targos, I was hoping to ask you one more thing, if you could.
Of course.
Jorin has mentioned some issues with memory. I assume that his soul was in the Pale for some time, but you seem quite the more aware and sharp of the two. Would you mind if I just had a small favor to request of you, simply to test that and perhaps bless our journey as well?
Of course, whatever I can do.
Would you mind saying a prayer to the Moonweaver for us?
Most certainly. Sure, most certainly. And he will, he's going to bow his head, and what I think, Glint, you would recognize it. It's a little, so like, I don't know what it is, but like in a way like a this for like Christianity and like the gods, whatever. I assume there's like a Moonweaver sort of hand symbol. And though he does this, it is a little off center. No, my mistake. It's pretty much exact what they do in Lyrengorn. So I'm gonna say it's like a hand over the shoulder. He does that symbol and he'll bow his head and say a prayer. He'll say, "Great Moonweaver, Sehanine, deity of moonlights in the autumn seasons, of love and illusions and misdirections, guide our tides towards one another. May we cross paths in a way that benefits us, and may the moon bathe our path and protect us from all danger." And will raise his head and look at you.
All right. And the prayer was like ritualistically correct, right? Just to make sure.
Yeah, like there's no right or wrong way to pray.
Yeah.
But it did seem to follow the exact. So maybe like it's like this. It's almost like the crescent moon like over the heart. And you've seen many people do this in Lyrengorn, does that pretty exactly. And says a very pretty decent prayer. mentions the domains of the Moonweaver.
Yeah, Glint seems a little reassured about this and will genuinely bow his head. Thank you for doing this for me and indulging me. It's been something of a trying few days, as you might imagine.
Even without the current circumstances, traveling in these lands are trying. I can understand.
Yep, I think they might be calling them the Neverfields because I'll never come back here again.
uh, perhaps so. Perhaps so. What's your passive insight?
Bad. I think it's like a. Let me double check. It is a passive 11.
Well, the good news is that he didn't roll so good. You see it's for a moment, but you see a little bit of like it's a mix between sort of like a scowl and a worried look from Joran that Torgos doesn't see. So he kind of does this prayer and looks at you, and you're like, oh, like that's, it's been so, and you kind of like ease a little bit, and he kind of like kind of looks a little worried at Joran, or excuse me, at Torgos.
Interesting.
Subtle, but you catch it.
All right. I'm going to make my way back to my companions for the moment, but are you planning on simply following us on foot? Is that correct?
Torgos will say that was the plan. I think the plan was simply to help in any way that you really needed. So if you wanted us to fall back a mile and make sure you're not followed, or scout ahead, or whatever you want, we'll do that.
I think for the time being, simply keep a fair enough distance where you can still close with us if we need assistance, but set your own pace, of course. I'm going to convene with my companions, see what else we need to prepare before we depart, but it shouldn't be too long.
Jordan will say, we will, unless you wish it, we'll continue to keep our distance. We don't want to, might be good to just make sure we're taking this at an easy pace.
Of course, I appreciate it. I'm trying to take it quite easy myself. Having a bit of a poor time of things with cursed artifacts and all.
Of course. Good luck.
Glint will hobble back towards the rest of the party in the snow.
Yep. All right, you guys will hobble back with your skelly guards, and I'll say probably at this point, you guys are pretty well nearly packed up to go once Glint, you return.
And we're far enough away that the blizzard is basically drowning out any ability of them to eavesdrop, I imagine. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're all, you would be surprised if they weren't all but deafened at this distance.
Something is very strange with these two.
I like how this thing keeps drawing other things to it, you know? It's like friend and foe seem to want to come out and give it a howdy, and I'm sort of over it.
Well, I wouldn't say it's impossible that at least one of those revenants is a foe. I'd imagine if they are, it's not so much to be indirect opposition to us. I don't think they'd be stabbing us in the back because, again, it'll be one against many. I think it more likely they might be here to keep tabs on us and track us and perhaps communicate back with some other force. I have a potential means around that, but it might take some time. Would anyone be able to keep an eye on them while we travel?
I'd be willing to keep an eye on them.
as Nyx kind of suggests, Beverly will kind of like see Nyx and says, I could hang out with Nyx a bit and try and help too. I know a thing or two about, pretending.
Of course, something about the story simply doesn't quite add up to me. Targos claims to be a priest of the Moonweaver and has the rote knowledge at the very least to act as such, but revenants are not solely bound to their own body. It is just as possible that he simply manifested in the body of a Moonweaver devotee in that tomb and is simply using that as a cover. Jordan claims inaccurate memories, and that's possible, I'm sure, but it does make it rather hard to check the veracity of his claims, and they reanimated at different times, then met up after the fact, so it's hard for them to give each other an alibi, really.
I don't love any of that.
It's a bit of a pickle.
Do they know we're looking for an air pickup?
What was that?
Do they know that we're looking to have an air pickup?
I haven't told them.
Oh, good. They don't need to know. Glint. All right. So, how is this going to work? Because you have 19.
Mm-hmm.
How big is the spell? Is it an area sort of thing?
For the
Is it like a wind walk or something? There's something you've got to cast for us to get up there. I mean, I can fly.
Oh, to get us up to the ship. I mean, honestly, I can get some of us up 1 by 1 or 2 by 2. Or cast flight on again, a few people that can carry other people and make trips up and down. Otherwise, we might have to leave a few skeletons behind.
Nyx can fly, and I can levitate other things, so I could get at least 2 up there.
Delightful.
Well,
Zarvolg says, there's also rope. You're also fancy with magic and shit, but there's also rope.
Yeah, if they park low enough, we'll just have the skeletons climb on up, I suppose.
yeah, it's just, it might be very high. It might be, it might be more than 50 feet of rope that it's got to do.
Yeah, I know that you're real fancy with your magic witch, but you can always knot 2 ropes together and make them twice as long.
And I would imagine a number of those vessels are actually capable of landing perhaps in water, depending on exactly what the nature of the coast is.
Speaking of which, we probably should get moving. We don't want to miss pickup.
Absolutely.
Mush.
All right, let me tie up the skeletons to the the lead chain.
I'll say at this point, your 5 favorite skellies have basically become like lieutenants to your undead army, and they're out there like nodding, and they're going down, and you can't hear what they're saying, but basically, and the skeleton goes, "Today we march through the Neverfields. We've already faced death, but there is none so more than facing and for the great mass." And there's a big war speech about, he calls on you to, and then, yeah, we'll get to it. There's a whole subplot about like heroics and glory going on that you guys can't understand because the skellies can't speak really, but they get it.
Is all we hear like clicking and clacking?
Yeah, you hear basically jaws like, and but they can read teeth. You guys can't read like just like bear jaw claps, but they can. So more like sign language than anything. But they're like, the skeletons are all like, and like, yeah. There's a whole subplot here where they all think they're fighting for the glory of whatever.
Give her the speech at the start of Gladiator.
The great god Glint Grimhelm. We will proceed to mush, as you put it. So now we'll come over here. So Frederick will just kind of be like right here beside the thing. We'll have Beverly and Nyx at the back. Glint, you're on your sleigh.
Mhm.
And I guess anybody who wants to be on the sleigh can too. Zarvolg and the puppy dog at the front, of course. Cool. Sweet. And I think that's. Oh, I need the Great Finchandagar, of course. Sweet, and that covers it. And your revenant fellows will just sort of follow behind from, like, maybe like here, and just kind of, sort of. But it is kind of foreboding as because they just like it's ice and freezing, and literally like half of their faces are like covered in like rime, but they're just like relentlessly just like continuing to like plow through the snow. They're not like doing any of this or holding their thing or just like there's none of that. It's just full like relentless drive that pulls them forth. And it's a little intimidating, I imagine. Nyx, if you were there, young Beverly would like to speak to you.
I'm back.
Hell yeah. So as you're making your way through the snow, Nyx, and you two are kind of keeping your eyes on the revenant person, Beverly's got her spear across the back. She goes, so you're from the Feywild, right?
Yeah, that's right. I hear
Yeah.
you are too.
Yeah, that recently got found out. Yeah, I am. I haven't been back there in a while. How is it? How is it?
It's a lot nicer than this, I have to admit.
Yeah,
I've been traveling quite a bit though.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. It's nice to talk to somebody from the Feywild. So I guess I just wanted to say hi again.
I agree. It's nice to be close to someone a bit more familiar or with familiar backgrounds.
Yeah, and you were with the carnival?
That's right.
Do you like the carnival?
I do.
I mean, you've picked a surprising change of scenery for someone who likes the carnival.
Yes. I've been with him for a while and I needed a bit of a change. I need a bit of change in scenery. These people seem very interesting. Why did you start following along? What made you want to tag along?
Well, I was in the Feywild for a long time, and then I got switched with a family, changeling and all, and then I haven't really known how to get back since, and then I was kind of living on the streets for a bit because they found out and they kicked me out of the house, and then I heard that this great paladin was in town, and I had always wanted to, I don't know, something interesting about heroes and stuff. So I managed to sneak my way into being a squire.
I'm so sorry you were rejected. It's not your fault. You didn't choose to be switched. But it seems like you found family here, and I'm very happy for you with that.
Oh, well, thank you. I, I guess I kind of have. And yeah, and she kind of like looks forward, like at the edge of the snow. You see like the great broad gates of Finchandagard, and she kind of looks through the snow towards Finch's back and smiles. And she goes, "Well, I don't know how long you plan to stick around, but yeah, I agree. They're pretty nice people. So it would be cool if you wanted to stick around. We go to nicer places than this. This is probably the worst
getting
place
out of the
we've been to.
cold.
Yeah, me too. This is probably the worst place we've ever been to, actually.
That's good to hear. Honestly, it's a bit comforting knowing that it should get better from this.
Yeah, no, we were like, yeah, Stillben was pretty bad, but it was only smelly, and that was the only thing that was wrong with it. But this is just really abysmal in every direction. So I'm, yeah. But we go to a lot of cities and meet a lot of important people, talk to really cool people. So I think you'll like it.
It'll definitely help with the stories. It'll help with me collect some more stories.
Oh, they have a lot of really good stories. Yeah, it'll be good. You know, I hope you'll like it.
Anything's better than running from the dragon right now.
Right. Yeah, we'll be there soon. And yeah, we'll get on that ship and we'll be good. She kind of like looks back at the looming two like vengeful undead individuals. And she goes, "So, what do you think about those guys?"
I don't get a good feeling from them, honestly. That's why I wanted to stay back and kind of watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too.
The crown seems to be attracting a lot of aggressive individuals, and I'm not sure that they're friends.
Yeah. It I don't know. I don't know a lot about the gods. It'd be better to ask Finch, but I mean the gods have sent like people to come help us out every now and then, which is weird. So I guess it's possible. But yeah, no, I agree. They're a little too scary looking to be friends, right?
What do you think?
She kind of puffs that puff of hot air into the cold, and she kind of takes another look back at them. And I'm gonna give Beverly a little roll here to see what she thinks because she knows all about pretending to be something you're not. So let's see what she thinks. I'm gonna give her a roll. Oh no, I just spelled her name. Okay, let's see here. She looks back at you and she kind of shrugs. She goes, there's a lot of different things they've said and done. It's hard to really tell, but I get a really bad feeling. That I don't know. One of them must be lying, right? They gotta be. I mean, they don't trust each other.
It would seem that way.
Yeah. If they're both sent by like the same god person, you'd think they would be working together, right?
One would think. Can Nix roll a perception check on Beverly?
What are you looking for specifically?
I don't know. She seems very nervous herself, a little unsure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, go ahead and make me an insight check.
Insight. 17.
17. You briefly saw her before, and now after the drama of her changeling heritage arising, she hasn't been quite herself since then. You get the sense of somebody who desperately wants to prove themselves in the wake of what they think is like a huge misstep with their group. So you think her nervousness comes from a like intense want to prove themselves reliable. So she's anxious to make the right choice or provide good information. And you get the sense she's really not sure what to think with these two dudes other than there's something wrong. But she's like grasping at whatever she can to try and sound like she's being helpful. So you get the sense that she's just dealing with a lot of like insecurity right now, and she's trying to come off as helpful and reliable. And that's what you're kind of getting.
Got it. You know, Beverly, You've a big asset to this group. You've helped quite a lot. I hope you know that, right?
She looks at you, and there's definitely an initial so you guys have pretty much been walking like this and kind of talking to each other a little, like at the side, trying to make your way through the wind. In that moment, she kind of like does like turn her head and kind of like look at you and kind of smile and keep going. And she goes, uh, thanks. I just kind of clean armor and help put up tents and stuff. But thank you.
I see a little bit more than that. You're helpful in battle too. Chin up, have some confidence.
Need me a persuasion check. Need me a persuasion check to instill some confidence in Beverly.
24.
That's a bard for you. 24. She's like, okay, if you, okay, right. She kind of like huffs as if like letting a little stress out, letting a little anxiety off of her shoulder, and you get the sense you pulled a little weight off of her, and you've instilled her a little confidence. She's like, in her head, she's like, big sister, and Snow, and you definitely think you like, yeah, you help build a little confidence in that moment, and you get the sense she's kind of, I don't know, you guys have some stuff in common, maybe seeing you as a bit of a role model too at this point. And yeah, you instill some confidence in Beverly. She looks a little more shouldered back than she has in a bit. Well done. All right,
Yay.
we will carry on with the adventure of making your way through the blistering cold. Luckily, you all have cold weather gear and are not going to suffer too abysmally from that weather. Yeah.
Are we able to get a short rest while we're on the sleigh?
Most certainly are.
Excellent. Gonna use my arcane recovery.
Got it.
Yeah.
This is going to be very actually. This fucking asshole. What is... Does anyone have a passive perception? Oh, well, Zarvol's little thing is gonna ping. All of you get a little like in your head, and all of your heads immediately like look up into the air, and you are going to see appearing from the dark as if camouflage, just like right flank is going to come down at your thing. The much quieter now, the dragon is going to swoop in. This is not going to be a very long initiative, but I will get an initiative real quick, as we're going to have a little, it's going to be a bit of a flyby action here. It's not going to be so let's keep this, I'm going to keep this very simple. I want everyone to roll initiative and let me know if you roll higher than a 16.
Nick's got 18.
18.
Okay. So we got
23.
All right, we got Nyx. We got Finch. We got Ember. Even with advantage, Zarvok does not roll terribly well. Beverly certainly does not. So that's what we're going to stick with. In this moment, yeah, Yvain?
You ain't got an 18.
An 18, okay. So we got everyone except Glint. Coming out like a fucking jet. It's flying out from, like, you would not have caught this if it wasn't for the thing. You guys looked at just the right place at the right time because of that Zarvolk ping that pointed your head in the right direction. And this thing comes out like a white fighter jet in the middle of the tundra, which is what it is, for all intents and purposes. And this raptor-like creature flies in low and fast, but we're doing a little makeshift initiative here just to speed things along. I'm just going to go down the list of what I heard it from. Nyx, how would you react? You may take a turn against this creature.
Nyx is gonna use shield, like is gonna shield themselves.
All right, shield is a reaction spell,
Oh, shit.
which is for protection in response to being attacked. It's a great tool, but in this moment, not necessarily helpful. Is there anything else that you would like to do?
I'm not. Let's No, Nyx doesn't know what to do right now. It took him off guard.
And hey, that's a perfectly acceptable answer. This is a role-playing game. You believe your character is just like a little too caught off guard. That is perfectly acceptable. So Nyx, you kind of look over and see this thing, and you kind of, because you're a carnival, you're a performer, you're not a battle instinctive individual yet, and that's okay. And you kind of have a what the fuck moment. Move down from that. And Nyx, if you decide upon something else, that is perfectly fine, and we'll come back to you in the order. But let's go to Finch. Finch, this thing's swooping down from the flank, right your carriage. What do you do?
I guess like if this is a timing thing, if it's swooping down, like would it fly within like my melee range or not?
It's certainly looking like it's going to get close to that. It's starting the initiative up not there, but if you want to hold an action, you'd be surprised if you wouldn't be able to get that off.
Okay, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to hold an attack.
Fair enough. You hold an attack. Okay, Ember, how do you respond?
I'm going to transform a Rhyme's binding ice to fire, and once it gets in the 30-foot cone, we're going to try it.
Hell yeah, we love that. Yvain, what about you?
Right. How close am I to the reliquary thingy majigger?
Good question, because my reliquary Frederick fellow kind of vanished on me here. Let me go grab him. He's he hasn't. He's right here. Since I imagine you were loaded onto the sleigh as well, you're like 5 feet away from Frederick, who's standing right there.
All right. And do I want to do this? He's just doing a flyby. I don't want to waste something cool if he's just doing a flyby. God damn it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a dodge action this round.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'll take the dodge action.
Totally acceptable. Fair enough. I'm going to bounce back to you, Nyx. Is there anything that you want to do, or are you happy to stick with that roleplay option, which is totally fine?
Is the dragon within 60 feet?
Dragon is indeed within 60 feet.
Nyx would like to cast Dissonant Whispers.
Hell yeah! What is your saving throw? What is your saving DC? It's at the top of your spell list.
The saving is 17.
17, understood. And I believe that's a wisdom saving throw. So I'll go ahead and roll a wisdom saving throw. That is going to be a 17, which I believe beats it. So it's going to save, but it will take half of that psychic damage.
Nice.
Go ahead and roll me some psychic damage. We'll take half that.
Wait, what happened?
Go ahead and roll the damage for Dissonant Whispers, and it's going to take half damage still.
Okay. So that is... Sorry, my internet's being funny.
Oh.
That's 3d6. Awesome. So... So it'd be 8.
8, so that will be reduced to 4 damage to the big blizzard. You sort of whisper a word, Nyx. You sort of like grab your instrument and kind of like almost whisper to the strings of your lute, and it kind of travels through the wind. And though some of it sort of beats off of its dragon hide, some of it does sort of solicit into its brain. It kind of, as it's flying in this sort of raptor-like hawk grapple, it sort of twists its head around uncomfortably. Well done. And I believe that will be all. So in this moment, the dragon's going to complete its descent. We're going to move it to about here. It's probably not exact, but it will still be when that rhymes ice goes off. So Ember, what do you require from me?
I require a DC 18 con save.
That is going to be 28 to save.
Okay. Well, you can still have half damage.
Still take half damage, absolutely.
And second.
Yeah, no problem.
It popped off the screen before I could read what the total was. So that's 16 fire.
All right. 16 fire attempts to wrap itself around the dragon, but its might and body is too great. It tears through the binding elements, but still is licked with flame. It is indeed going to get to about here, which is indeed within your melee range. Finch, go ahead and take a blow.
Yay.
Woohoo.
All right, that is let's see here. 26 to hit,
Oh yeah,
and I'm gonna smite on top of that.
fucking right. Go for it.
Let's see here. So that is okay. So that is 10. And then 16. That is 21. That's 21 points of damage.
21 points of damage.
Mhm.
Boom! It comes in, and you label it across the chest, and that dragon takes it. It hurts. A couple scales are definitely showing its wear. It's been beaten to hell these last couple days, but it is still strong. All right, at this point in its descent, it is going to do a number of grapple attempts on your party. I'm gonna just do a little rolly roll here. The one person that's not going to try and grapple is the one who hurts it the most when it gets too close. So Finch, you're off the hook. But with its 3 attacks, Ember, Yvain, and Glint, I need a contested grapple. So that is either an athletics or acrobatics, your choices. And I am going to go ahead and roll. Yes, Yvain?
When you roll mine, roll a d6 and subtract it, please.
Okay, understood. So I'll do yours first.
Oh, good.
So 13 for you, Yvain.
It's 13. I don't know. That's not it.
It's going after you, which means you're setting the DC. So meets it, beats it, he will grapple you. All right, you are grappled. I'm going to do another roll here for you, Glint.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 18. What did you get?
I got a nat 1.
Oof. Oofda. You are grappled, and last in the mouth, Ember, what did you get? Because I rolled a 14, you evade in this moment because he only rolls a 10. You manage to duck behind the ice wall, and it like snaps, but you manage to get around it. Yvain and Glint not so lucky. It is going to continue its path with you two grappled and begin an ascent. Reactions were held for both Ember and Finch, so it will evade it. It gets to here and end its turn, at which point we're going to swing around to whoever was left, which would have been you yourself, Glint. And Zarvolg, who's at the front. We'll pull up his sheet. In the meantime, what action would you take, Glint, as he's beginning his invasion?
So, bonus action. I just kind of want the skeletons to fire everything at this dragon. So this crossbowmen, shoot. The kite teams are just going to throw every dagger they can. They're probably going to get as close as they can to do it.
All right, I'm not going to go ahead and rearrange the board because this is going to be over pretty soon. But go ahead, absolutely go for it.
Alrighty.
If you don't mind, as I'm sure you have a lot of work on your table, I'm gonna do a little of my own. But
Okay.
go for it. This guy is simply...
Okay.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So I have a 21, a 23, and then I think 3 misses on the crossbows because that was a 9, a 7, and a 17.
Okay. So that's 2 hits on the crossbow.
Correct. And then for dagger throwing, do you want me to roll disadvantage? Do you want me to...
Let's see here. Because it is difficult terrain. Let's make life easy and say half of them are straight, half of them are disadvantage.
Got it. Okay.
Cool.
So it'd be 7 straight rolls. Unless I factor in the extra attack, in which case it'd be 14 straight rolls. 7. Okay. One of those on the first roll of 7 dice is a 22. The rest are 13 and below.
Okay, so 1 hits.
Alrighty. And then the next 7. Okay. 22, 22. Does an 18 hit?
An 18 does hit.
Alrighty. So that's 3 more hits. And then let me handle the disadvantage attacks.
Go for it.
2, 3, 4, 7. Okay. So if an 18 would hit, would a 17 hit? I'm just seeing how many disadvantage I should reroll.
18 does hit. At this point, it's fine. Its AC is 18.
Got it. So that's 1 more hit out of the first set. And then 1 more hit out of the second set.
Okay. 1 more hit. Okay, cool. Go ahead and begin the accumulation of damage.
Yeah, that should be 2 crossbows and 5 daggers, correct?
Sounds right to me.
Okay, okay. And then another D4. 3, then a 3. Okay, cool. So that's 9, 18, 28, 38, 38 plus 9, 47, plus 14, 63, plus 9 is 72 damage.
Having an army is no joke. Yeah, that hurt the dragon pretty bad. It's going to be rethinking its tactics again. But it's going to take what would have been a legendary action in this moment, and it's going to just like make a tail attack grapple backward at a random skeleton. I rolled for which one it would be, and luckily that is not Frederick. That is going to be, we shall say, skeleton number 10 in the cast. Go ahead and make me an athletics or acrobatics check for that skeleton.
Alrighty. Acrobatics would be a 17.
That is going to be a failure. Your skelly is grappled.
Okay.
At which point Zarvolg is going to do his thing.
Yeah. Also, I do still have my action.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Glint's going to, as he's getting, shown a whole new world by this dragon, is going to pull out the backup wand at the back of his belt and just sort of punch it against the chest of the dragon and cast a lightning bolt through it.
Oh, that's mean as hell. That is a 14, which I believe fails, so we'll use a legendary
failure
resistance to succeed instead.
Delicious. 10, 14. 27 halved to 13.
All right, 13 lightning fires through it. Understood. Zarvolg is going to cast Hunter's Mark, because that's what any ranger worth his salt does, and then he's going to take. I'll play him authentically. He will do 4 attacks. Sorry, 5 attacks, because he's Zarvolg the Grim. I'll just roll all the d20s over here. That's not how that works. There's a +9 on these, so that's He needs a 9+. So that's going to be 2 hits, 1's a nat 20. So we're going to roll that up. Doot, doot. And this is a crossbow, so... oh, he's probably using his big crossbow now, so we'll give him the d12s. And I'll do the modifiers after. So rolled. Wow! He jumps so high. Okay, so that's 14 initial damage. Plus the modifier, which is... Crossbow's got a +3, so that's another additional 6. Plus 6, 12, plus 18 damage for the crit. And then he would have got... I'll give him the Stalker's Fury for this. So that'd have been an additional 9 damage. Damn, guys, you messed up that dragon in this one round. That was supposed to be an ambush. I think he's starting to get the... He's not that smart, but I think he's getting the picture that there is no ambushing this crew. And in that moment, it's going to use its last legendary action to make a wing attack. I need a dexterity saving throw from... I'm going to say 1 Skelly and Finch and Glint and Skelly number 2.
Okay. First Skelly is a 18. Second Skelly is a 14. Glint
2 failures.
is a 22.
Glint succeeds.
19.
Oh, you're good, Finch. Sorry, I meant Glint and Yvain.
Got it.
Your 2 Skellies both take 13 points of damage, which I believe doesn't end them.
What type of damage is it?
It is bludgeoning, so that's doubled, right?
Correct. If it's one of the upgraded skeletons, they might be fine. If it's one of the normal skeletons, that will be enough to kill them. I think they have 21 base HP, or no, 22 at the moment.
Got it. He accidentally kills the one that he grapples in his fury, and basically is just like unravels it in his tail.
Yeah.
And it scatters on the Arctic floor. The one on the ground here is just going to be blown away and destroyed. Glint, you'll be fine. What did you get, Yvain?
Sorry, what was I rolling?
Dexterity saving throw.
Thank you so much. Oh shit, that's not too bad. That was a 15. Like, if I still fail, but it's not a bad roll for her.
That's all good. 15, you're going to take 13 bludgeoning damage. I'm going to make a little check for the dragon to see if he holds on to you. Again, in this moment, he beats his wings really hard, and he does it so intensely, and you fail that you're knocked out of his hand. Just kind of like hit the ground and kind of do one of those like a couple rock skips. I am modifying this move for the dragon because it did like a whole from fucking atmosphere like slingshot at you guys. So in this moment, he snaps the skelly behind him, and Yvain, you're blown right out of his hand, and is going to tilt the wings just so that he vanishes back up into the tundra with Glint in hand, and is going to vanish into the snow for that reason. And as it's doing so, Glint, and you're like your beard is like in the wind as you're basically being ragdolled in the wind. As he's gonna bring you up to his face before your turn, he's going to say, "Who are you? Give it to me."
I'm sorry, you grabbed the wrong set of bones here.
Make me a persuasion check.
That's going to be a 9.
A 9?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't believe you. And he is going to, because you just blasted him, he's going to blast you back. Maybe a con save as he's going to blast you with cold breath.
Okay, that's going to be a 22, 13 plus 9.
Hey, that is a big save, and you're going to take half of 50 damage, so you'll take 25
I'm gonna
damage.
absorb elements and then use that to trigger my protective verses on myself.
Okay, so that would be 25. It's gonna be 12 points of cold damage instead.
And
Get a little bonus damage.
Yep.
At
And I
this
gain
point,
16 temp HP off of that. So I think my net gain is 4 temp HP.
got it. So as it's sort of slingshotted itself up into the cold, it blasts you with cold breath, and then it's going to drop you. And you are going to. It would have gone up on a diagonal. I would have gave it the full thing. So I'm going to say you fall 40 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a full Looney Tune glint in the snow. You're going to take. You're going to take 19 points of bludgeoning damage as you hit the ground. You have a turn as the dragon roars angrily in the dark. You don't know as of yet if he's coming back around for you, but you pull yourself up out of the snow. What do you do?
Okay, so I can see the dragon up there at all, or no? Because it's 40 feet of the fall?
Yeah, the fall was about 40 feet. I rolled 3 on it. Sure, I'll say that you can see it, like vaguely see its outline through the hard tundra.
Yeah.
What's your passive perception? Just because it's a white dragon in a tundra.
It's just an 11.
I'm gonna say that very much like trying to spot a polar bear in a blizzard, it disappears into the tundra. But you hear it out there. You hear it like roaring around angrily in the flapping of wings.
Okay, if I can hear it, that works for me. So I imagine that Glint's hitting the ground and there is a little rain of like shattered skeleton bones around in the snow, right?
Oh wait, a little ways back over there. Like you look back, I'll say sure. You can see like you can see a skull and a rib cage just kind of like sunk in the ice.
I want to grab the skull and like throw it up and cast Summon Undead.
I will say that because it was a little further back than that, because that's funny. I'm going to let it happen. We'll say that you, like 15 foot or 10 foot, whatever, because you're a dwarf, crawl over and you grab it and you kind of go, whoa, and it will become undead, but kind of undead.
I'm going to summon the ghostly undead, the one that can fly, and I'm casting it at 5th level.
All right, so you do.
Okay, so let me double check how much this is going to be hitting for, but it should get 2 attacks whenever its turn rolls around, which is on my initiative as well. Bonus action, can I have the skeletons actually have crossbows that they can still shoot up in the direction of it?
They're considered blinded in this moment.
Okay.
Let's stick with the summon undead for now. So you summon it up there, up in the sky. I'll say that it I'll say that it gets pretty. You can hear it, so it gets like pretty damn close to the dragon as you summon it.
Okay, and it's got a fly speed of 40 with hover. So as this spirit gets ripped out of the skull, it's going to, I think, just go flying towards the dragon and try and claw into it.
All right, go for it.
Okay. That should be plus 10 to hit, I believe. So I have a 19 and a 21 to hit.
Those will both hit.
Okay, and each hit has to make a wisdom saving throw or be frightened. That's
all right.
And then I'll roll the
damage. One's a nat 20, one's a nat 1.
Alrighty, the DC was 18, and that's a D8 on the damage.
I think it's saving its legendary resistance in this moment.
Alright.
I think that's already where it was. This was like a kind of ambush because it knows how much you guys are thinking.
Okay, so that's a 5 and a 5. Good consistency. Plus 3 is 8 on each. Plus spells level 13 plus proficiency 17, so 34 necrotic damage for both hits total.
Damn, man, 34 necrotic damage.
And if it's afraid of the ghost, it's going to circle to be in front of it, so that it cannot go past or up above it, because I'll be getting closer to the source of its fear.
God, you want to do like that then? The T poses above the dragon and looks down at it.
Alrighty.
Understood. The dragon is in this moment frightened and is going to definitely bank. And it's going to continue its flight away from all of you guys, but it's definitely going to be waylaid to some degree out of fear for this new creature. And it's going to do like one of those away, essentially, on like a diagonal, and then continue its flight sort of around it. So it kind of banks and continues its flight. I need a deck save from the ghost.
Alrighty. Double check that bonus. Okay. That is a 16.
16. That is a failure. It's going to take 12 bludgeoning damage and be knocked prone, but I don't imagine a ghost can be knocked prone. But
Nah, it has a hover speed, so it can't quite be prone.
Got it. So it'll be knocked prone, but it'll continue its flight.
Okay. You said it was 12 damage, is that right?
That's right, 12 bludgeoning.
Okay, that's out of 59 HP. Alright.
Got it. So, I will say in this moment, hail of arrows, all of you guys go running into the snow to catch up with it. The dragon on its turn is just going to power back down into the tundra. Unless you guys have some kind of Nyx Finch, Ember Yvain have some kind of way of hitting this, like it's so beyond, and it's also like in the white tundra. No, it'll on its turn use the dash and just blast past, because you guys have heard it pretty terribly at this point.
I would like to repeat what Glint told me the last time in Draconic. Cast thaumaturgy so I can be heard.
And this dragon,
cowardly worm.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have failed again.
Yeah, this dragon's so pissed off. It continues to use its momentum. The bank slowed it down a bit, but it continues to use its momentum and just disappear into the storm. And as you curse it, basically, as it leaves, it is such a vengeful creature. You don't expect it will have given up on its hunt at this point. Because you guys are very pokey, and it's getting harder to hurt you guys. In this moment, so I'll say, Glint, you'll be happy to see the form of Zarvolg going running in. He's like, "Oh, I was definitely coming to look for you, Glint, not the dragon. Yeah, here, let me help you up." And he will help you to your feet.
Thank you.
It's worth noting that Zarvolg, I admit I've been a little laissez-faire with lingering injuries against enemies because it's a lot to track. But I think this, especially this pain in the ass dragon, it's important that we do track it. So he took a nat 20 from Zarvolg. So you don't know what's going on with him, but Zarvolg's like, "Yeah, I think I got him pretty good. We're wearing him down."
Bit by bit, I'm sure.
And oh boy, that's not good. Okay. All right, you guys sort of reunite in that moment as Zarvolg brings Glint back and the dragon has been evaded.
Did we try and track it down now?
He's got Hunter's Mark onto it.
I can turn pen into your flies.
I got fucking Hunter's Mark on it, motherfuckers.
All right,
I admit it'd be nice to be done with this thing.
Yeah, but I'm seeing faces that are like, no, we don't want to go chasing off after it.
I will be slightly uncharacteristic here for Zarvolg. We'll say, we do have a pretty short window to get on the airship, and I want to track and kill this motherfucker, but you can get away pretty quick. And, what do you guys want to do? I want to go kill it.
You can visit it in its sleep. Is that correct?
That's right.
What if can you use that spell in any offensive means?
As a matter of fact, yes. Yes, you
Yeah,
can.
he can.
And Starfog has.
Well, if we've
Does-
injured it, maybe we can-
Yeah, I don't want to. I've never done it before. That would be fucked. But no, yeah.
The evil laugh just gives away the entire game.
Well,
It's not like I've ever killed anyone from my past with it. But you know, I've heard something like that. It's possible.
hearing for a friend.
Yeah, I heard
Well,
through, some friends.
well, maybe you could hunt it in its sleep then, and if it's already injured, you can wear it down even further.
Yeah,
Oh, I like that.
I'm really good at wearing people down in the night. So I'll do that. I would
sure you
definitely say
are.
this in canon. Canon stuff.
God. Okay.
I'm kidding. He doesn't say that. That was me. I apologize. But he grins pretty happily at the prospect, and we will assume that he will do that when the time comes.
Mhm.
Okay. As the day goes by and nothing happens for the rest of the day, and as the night comes,
Glint would want to do one thing while we're loaded up, outside of taking the 2 dead skeletons and stacking them in the back of the sleigh.
Sure.
He would want to cast a sending spell to Nayless.
Okay. We're gonna go to a break very soon, just so everybody knows.
Yeah. I'll
Yep,
type
go
it
right
out
ahead,
real
Glint.
quick.
No, just say it. It's more fun that way.
All right. Nayless, this is Glint. We have encountered revenants. One claims to be a Moonweaver follower. Has she ever used revenants before? Please advise. Thank you.
You'll receive a return. It says, I am well studied in her mythologies and histories. Never have I heard of the Moonweaver commanding the undead. Oftentimes, angels and fairies, but he runs out of words. You'll receive another sending that's just a foreboding. Beware the deceit of the Spider Queen. Glint.
Glint will at some point, while still on the ride and not in earshot of the revenants, share this with the party.
At which point we'll say that was like around the end of the day. And as you guys all settle into sleep with quite a host to guard you. The only encounter that you will have in the evening is that somewhere in the tundra you see a herd of some 30 caribou. Ride just barely within eyesight, and then off back into the dusk of the tundra. And your night will go by without any further impediments. So you can hit a long rest. Everyone can hit a long rest, and let's go to a break.
Okie dokie.
They got shooked in the guts.
Oh yes, that's right.
The little
your guts are
little guys.
scrambled. Yeah, you have a pierced stomach, I believe, is what it was.
Are their guts
Or organ damage.
recovering now that they're on a sled? They're not moving
Your organ damage would be Yeah, it's a DC 15 con saving throw, or lose your action and reaction. If anyone wants to attempt to understand the nature of Nyx's issue, they can roll either a medicine or an arcana check, different information for different checks.
Yeah, would her point of exhaustion have gone away though, or no?
Yeah, that for organ damage, that would have gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one was just, yeah. So that's like you
Yeah.
sleep that off, you bandage it up.
That's a
Okay, so that can go away.
Yeah.
that's a
Excellent.
22 Arcana.
22 Arcana. You would be aware that if you were to solve this with magic, you would require nothing less than a regenerate spell or something of equal measure more powerful.
Alrighty.
Wait, so I'm confused. Is it still there? No.
The exhaustion is gone, but the pierced stomach one is still there. So you received two lingering
Okay.
injuries. One you took in the form of exhaustion, one you took in the form of a lingering injury. So your exhaustion's cured now. You're good. You took a long rest. You're good. But you still
Okay.
got the pierced. You still have the organ damage, though. That's still going.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't. Do I mark that off on conditions?
No, not on conditions. That's the you keep track of something.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
Okay,
a house rule. This isn't like official stuff.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be accidentally cheating or anything.
No, you're good. Totally good. Yes, Yvain.
Since we've got them on a sled and they're not like walking around and such, the way we can get them to rest and sort of recover. Because if I recall from the last time I did a medicine check on them, it was to be 10 days.
If you don't recall, roll me another medicine check to see if you know the more conventional solution to this problem.
All right. Medicine, it's not going to be great. It's going to be, I think, would be a 9.
You are uncertain. Maybe you had it yesterday, but you don't have it today if it's been forgotten at this point. You don't recall how to fix organ damage medically.
Super spicy food.
Yeah, might want to stay away from the spicy food. Exactly. Yeah.
Glint had a spell that he would want to cast on the campsite in addition to the normal prep,
Okay.
which would be the private sanctum spell.
Private sanctum. Private sanctum. Very smooth. Yep, you caused private sanctum. If you want to let me know specifically which measures you are putting forth.
Mm-hmm. So one, I think he would probably prevent sensors created by divination spells,
Okay.
as well as protecting creatures in the area from divination spells.
Okay.
And then I think also teleport blocking and planar travel blocking.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Understood. So no divination whatsoever, because you can't scry and you can't divine anything else,
Mhm.
and no teleportation or
Yep.
planar travel. Understood.
And that'll be 100 feet on a side. Thank you.
Ooh, 100 feet on a side cube. So we'll just say that covers your whole little garrison situation here.
Yeah,
Call
and
it.
Glint would probably want to also make sure the revenants are relatively nearby within that space of the private sanctum whenever we're fully bedded down.
Okay, you fully bed down and you welcome them a little closer. And they get to here. Both of them are very cautious of your certainty. And they will both sort of find their way here. Torgo says, so just to be very clear, we don't want to come too close. That's not to your comfort. You want us to just sit on the edge of your defenses.
If you could.
All right, very well. And the both of them will sort of kind of sit at the edge of one of these trenches.
Alrighty.
Your defenses are great and many, and you will again find yourself a long rest. There is a moment where some of you might find a little tension. Whoever would have taken second watch, sort of there's like this moment where you feel the ground rumbling. You're like, oh, what now? And then you breathe a sigh of relief. It's simply a herd of caribou making their way across the tundra. You awaken, and Zarvalok says, "All right, we're gonna move a little faster today because we've got 2 days and a little bit to get to the coast, and I don't want to be late, so pick it up." And once more, you will rejoin towards your sleigh. Torgo says, "Do you wish us to remain close as well to your sleigh on the approach, or are you happy with us further at the rear?"
I think close is all right.
Yes. Okay. Well, very well. So they will kind of move closer. Both of them sticking pretty close to each other. Like one will be like, "You should probably both move over there." And he goes, "Yeah, right." And they both kind of will sort of move to the flank here. I think at one point, yeah, they kind of like talk to each other. It's hard to hear what their exchanges are because of the blistering wind. But at a certain point, let's see. Joran begins to sort of like fall back in the snow. And then he'll just sort of, through the progression of travel, begin to make his way around to the opposite flank. And kind of stay out here, but still will sort of flank from the opposite side. And then like once he gets to like over here, he kind of picks up his pace slightly until he comes to about here and then continues, and he kind of like looks over and sees Torgos, and Torgos sees him, and they kind of look at each other. Maybe there's a little nod, and they kind of continue their watching. But both of them have their eyes glued on each other.
Whenever they're up closer to the wagon and in eyesight this way, will Glint be able to look them both over and just try and discern if there's any like illusions of any kind on them?
Maybe an investigation check to see if you can discern illusions.
Yeah. I'm gonna cancel the disadvantage by using a charge in the ring. So let me roll for that. Investigation. That's only a 16.
16. No. You find no sign of charm.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. Continue your travel. Today goes by without issue. You bed down, camp down. I should ask, where are you, Glint, commanding Frederick to stay? Is he still a part of like the outer complement, or is he more interior? Where's Frederick?
I think Glint is keeping Frederick directly at his side as like a personal aide-de-camp situation.
Got it. So while the dome is up, Frederick is in the interior as well.
Correct.
Understood. Understood. So we'll put one of those guys here, and one of your skellies will fill in the trench, and these guys will just kind of patrol. Okay. Your defenses are pretty solid, pretty infallible, one might say. Difficult to surpass. Let's see here. Okay. Yep, you wake up. This is the last day. Zarvolg says, all right, we should be nearing the rendezvous. That's what they call it. I don't know what the fuck that means, but a rendezvous point. And we were supposed to wait for them there on the shore, so let's get a move on. And that day. What's that?
Going in and out of the room.
Let's see. How does this one go? No. Righty. Oh, cool. As you guys reach the sort of pickup zone, as it would be dubbed, you make your way down through the tundra, and there's like a dip. Or actually, it's not a dip. You guys find yourself to like basically the side of like a large iceberg, where there's an immediate fall off to a cliff face that's hundreds and hundreds of feet high. And you see the water down below. Icy, cold northern water down below. And as you make it to the edge there, you look off and you can see the Osmit Sea way, way, way off to the west. And you look down from this great height, and Zarvolg will say, yeah, this is where they said we're supposed to find him. If one of you could, I don't know, let them know we're here. I've done my job. You figure it out now. He'll say, like, they're supposed to find us now. We've done our part. You get them in here with all your magic shit.
Ember?
Easy enough done. Once the sun gets set it'll be I'll burn a charge off the wand and send a fireball straight up.
Okay.
150 feet in the air, 40-foot diameter.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't last very long, but it should be seeable from a pretty good distance.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You goes off. You're not spotted at this point. It's a little later in the day. You still got like a couple hours of sunlight left. You want to send one off like how often do you want to send a fireball
off? Every couple of hours. Send one off once we get on site, and then after the sun's gone down and it's become darker.
Got it. Understood. Okay. You are setting them off the signal. I think Beverly just takes up the spear and is going to kind of like put it in the ground as it glows to light, and we'll kind of look back to you, Yvain, for approval. And she'll kind of like stand near beside it and attend it as it's, she's going to take care of it, make sure it doesn't fall off or anything like that. She's pretty good at attending gear. So I'm going to say, for the sake of this ridge right here, we'll call that the drop point, like the drop off point of the berg, to make our lives a little easier here. Is there a way you'd like to set up camp any different, or is like this still functional even from the distance of like the side edge here? Is there any, I guess my purpose is there any, how would you like to orient this like wait and see camp? Might be important.
I think forming up some kind of wall, at least, for the skeletons to have cover alongside if we're waiting at the edge would be good.
Okay.
We are absolutely not waiting at the edge. Bob the ice hole needs not that invitation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need to build
definitely.
defensively. We need to expect ice hole, as you put it, to
Ice hole.
again.
Yeah, this is prime ambush territory for that guy.
Got it. So you want to set it up like maybe back here, so your back isn't exactly to a
That's
wall.
absolutely
Yeah.
right.
Yes, please.
Okay. So for all
Because
intents and purposes,
he could come out and walk up the ice shelf, which would be bad. He could fly over and try another grab and drop, which
he could tail,
which would be
swish.
bad.
Yeah, it's the ghost.
I have a very silly question.
Ooh, okay, I like silly.
So there's a couple trees nearby, I assume.
I'm gonna say at this point, like these guys, yeah, we're probably popping them out because you guys are essentially on an iceberg right now. You're no longer on solid ground.
Okay, yeah, so no trees. Okay.
Yeah, there's the only other side, other than snow and ice, you see some rocks. And you've left trees behind about 2 hours ago.
Do we want to keep the sleigh with us?
I don't think so. I don't see any.
I mean, if they're picking us up on an airship, I don't know how we could.
We may end up needing it for a gangway.
I could try and use the wood to construct something better for defenses, if you wish.
Could we make some walls out of ice, potentially?
I'm sure that we could.
Nyx has mage hand. They could do some physical labor.
So, out of character, my consideration is using fabricate to use the sleigh as raw material to try and make a ballista or other siege weapon.
Jesus Christ. The sleigh is like I gotta say I don't think so, because like I mean it's not a hempen rope that they use to create those the shots, and there's metal and that's just wood, so I gotta say I don't think you're making a ballista out of driftwood.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's a cool thought. I wanted to say yes, but that's maybe a little much.
So it would require, say, a proper like gut string of some kind that's properly strung, and then some metal fittings as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're gonna need metal, probably a decent amount of good steel. The wood's easy enough, I guess, with your thing.
I could have one of my favorite skeletons strip out of their armor, and also use some of their crossbows if needed. Totally your call, though. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. And you're proficient with smith's tools, yeah?
Yes.
Ballistas are big. I will say make me a proficient intelligence check.
Okay.
See if you can figure out what raw materials you'd require to create a ballista.
Yeah. And if I can't figure it out now, it's something to study at a later date. Intelligence, flat, proficient. So should I just roll like an intelligence saving throw effectively?
Sure. Same bonus.
16 total.
16? I'll say like I'm just gonna say in this moment you're like your resources are a little tight.
Yeah, that's
and you're
fine.
like I could throw all of my 5 dudes' armor and crossbows into a pile and hope it makes a ballista. And you know the mechanics of a ballista. It's just like
It's a lot of
Like-
math at the moment. Yeah,
it's a lot of exactly.
totally fair. Yeah, in that case, I think we're just going to be making walls then.
All right. You make a couple of low ice walls around. You see the two revenants are getting anxious. They're kind of like staying a couple feet away from each other, and I'm gonna say Joran's kind of pacing the line here and keeping an eye on Orgos, who is kind of like by the cart and is trying to look probably inconspicuous, but like you can feel an anxiety. There's like a tension between the two of them that's rising, and at this point, it doesn't take much to know that if one of them was your enemy, the time is coming to deal with it. Whether the tension is coming because they realize this, or because one of them realizes this as they need to do a thing, or one of them realizes this as they need to defend. Tensions are high there, and you get the sense that I don't know, something's up, something might happen.
Yeah, Glint's gonna lean over towards probably, I guess, Ember and Yvain primarily. Is there anything we can do to properly figure out which of these might be trying to stab us in the back? Divining motives isn't much my forte.
Well, perhaps the best thing is a little trust but verify, in that we watch them both, but there is no absolute. If Jordan is forthright with memory problems, those may be sufficient to evade a truth telling.
I could try one thing, but I would need probably at least a couple hours, and I would need
I
some.
honestly wouldn't. I honestly think our best foot forward is what we've already done, is to set a bulwark and be in preparation, and we can very politely turn them loose once we get the airship here and we're ready to go, because that's all the help that we need.
My worry is if one of them is here to betray us, that whenever the ship arrives, they're going to try and maybe do something to sabotage it.
And I expect the dragon to come back about the same time as well.
It's going to be a hoot nanny.
It's gonna be a hoot nanny.
There's no two ways about it. So
Anything but a hoot.
Don't expend any resources that you don't need to expend. Assume that there's going to be at least a 3-way brawl, if not a 4-way brawl.
All right. Understood.
At which point, the glowing spear that Beverly, I think, exclusively is sort of like not in the camp. And yeah, if you wanted to assign whoever to it, you're more than welcome. We'll say Fen is out there with her, but
Yeah.
Beverly again is standing guard with the spear, as she doesn't want to risk it. At which point you kind of hear through the. Oh, actually, let me check the weather. It's actually not as bad. It's the visibility kind of sucks when you're looking out into the tundra, but you can see the sea just fine for quite a while. And it's not nearly as loud. And in this moment, throughout the tundra, you hear, I think it's here. I can see it. From Beverly, and you guys all kind of turn your heads to look, and you do see the glowing blue flagstone crystals sort of appearing in the sky of the ship moving forward. And Beverly picks the spear up out of the snow and starts like waving it over her head like a signal fire.
Can I keep my eyes on the two revenants if possible?
Sure. Make me a perception check.
Yeah. With disadvantage, that's only going to be a 14.
14.
Mhm.
You see Torgos looking at he sort of came around and looked over, and he's looking at the ship, and Joran is like looking at Torgos, like his eyes are kind of like looking like he saw it, but he seems to have this, for whatever reason, his eyes are lasered on Torgos's back. And his gait is almost a little wider, like he's prepared for something. But Torgos is like looking at the ship, and you see that there's kind of like almost like a sigh of relief there from him. That's what the scene is.
Okay. I guess Glint's just kind of watching them and seeing if either of them goes for a weapon or goes for like a spell or anything of that nature, but is otherwise just kind of waiting it out at the moment.
Okay. Fantastic. What do you all do? So you see it fly up to the side, the same ship as before, by the way. Flies up, and then this a huge rope ladder unfurls, and kind of it takes a second for it to adjust and get to the right spot, but it manages a stationary position, and the rope ladder is furled down to the canyon edge. Beverly kind of grabs it just to like get a good hold on it, and she looks kind of happy. But yeah, what do you guys do? You're gonna go hop on?
Glint and Frederick, why don't you go first?
What was that? Your
Glint and Frederick, maybe you should go
certainly.
first.
Right. And Glint will start toddling along through the snow towards the rope ladder.
You start making your way over. Torgos sort of like looks at you and nods and starts making his way over to the ladder. Joran sort of takes off into a hurried step to catch up with Torgos. And you guys, all three of you, kind of like meet at the ladder. And Joran's like right beside Torgos, and there's like a bit of like a weird energy there where he's like, dude, like, calm down, or back off, or whatever, right? Nothing is said, but like Joran's right in his face. You get on the ladder, and you climb up, and you seem to, with your skelly in tow, you get up the ladder, you find your way onto the ship, and we'll deal with that in a second, but you successfully make your way up the ladder to safety.
Okay.
Members of the Concordant first, particularly people who cannot fly.
Yeah, I'm gonna say all the skellies have like all made their way over there and kind of just like formed just sort of perimeter, and they got crossbow sentries and whatnot.
Can Nyx go hang out by the bottom of the ladder, but not go up the ladder yet?
Yeah, I was gonna
Absolutely.
say, I think Finch would observe, like, especially like if Joran was like being kind of strange, like they may subtly like pick up the pace like behind them, to just like observe and make sure at least Glint and Frederick like got up the ladder safely.
I feel like it's fair
Yeah,
to say that we're all like at the base of the ladder now.
yeah. By the time Glint and Fedric are up the ladder, I'm gonna say that the Aurora Concordant is sort of heavily populated near the bottom of the ladder, and the skellies have formed a perimeter around you guys, and Jordan and Torgos are in this like it's that like weird tension before like is it gonna go into a fight? Is it not gonna go into a fight? You're not terribly sure what it is, but they're like yeah, you all start making your way up. And you start making your way up, and you seem to all go up quite well. I want to ask who's last. Who's last up the ladder?
I will be.
You will be, Finch. Okay, so everybody gets up there except for Finch. And all the skellies they're not staying behind, I presume.
Ideally not.
Okay, so you're gonna bring the entire horde up to the ship?
Assuming they can fit.
They will find a way. Well, we will see if they'll find a way. That'll take some convincing, but we're gonna deal with the ground drama first. So around the end, Torgos and Joran are like standing like next, like Joran's kind of standing next to the thing, and looking at Joran is like a little anxious because of Joran's energy, and Joran's like not stepping around to be between him and the ladder or anything, because that would probably, there's a real tension there. And as you are like the last one up before the endless line of undead begins to make their way up, Torgos will say, "We made it. Now what? What should we do now? Should we go with you?"
I believe this is where we bid you adieu. We appreciate your accompaniment, but this is our ride, and we appreciate your assistance in helping us complete this mission, but I believe we must part ways.
Torgos deflates a little bit, and he's like, "Yes, I understand. Of course, in whatever capacity we can serve."
We appreciate it.
And Torgos is like standing next to or Jordan standing next to Torgos, almost like ready to pounce on him. It looks like, his posture, and Jordan just kind of like gives you a nod, Finch. And Torgos says, "Well, good luck. May all the gods guide you to Vasselheim. Good luck."
And may they guide you as well with wherever you are in the next steps of your journey. And I think like as we're having this conversation, like we're like ushering the skellies like up the ladder.
Yeah.
It's simultaneously, so that by the time like our conversation has transpired, like they've pretty much already made most of their way up, and like I would be like the, you know what I mean, like I bid you adieu, kind of like in the Wizard of Oz, like okay, farewell.
yeah, exactly. You almost caught. And at that point, you get up the ladder and you start making your way up the ladder, and you escape. The whatever issues there were with the revenants, they begin to escape. You will, the ladder is being pulled up with you being the last person, Finch.
That's fine. I was gonna say, like, I would probably like usher it to start to come up. Like, I can hang there. I mean, worst case scenario, I have wings, so.
Yeah, aiding in the ascent, they kind of begin to pull you up while you make your way up, and you'll see at the bottom, a sort of a more physical, verbal altercation begins between the two revenants. To the point where you see Jordan like grab him by the shirt, and say something to him, and Torgos sort of puts a hand out like this, and very Superman-esque, like with a strength you didn't know he possessed, just kind of does that. and Jordan's like pushed back like 10 feet, and he like catches it on his feet, and you can just barely hear as you're beginning to ascend, sort of yelling transpire between the two of them. But you're like, not my business, and you like finish the ascent. Farewell, losers. Farewell.
I must be gone.
Much to do, little time to do it. All right, let's go up to the Silver Sun, because toodles. Let's go up to the Silver Sun. I want to see what is going on up there. Goodness gracious. Give it a moment. Oh, yeah, there we are. Okay, so you're the first one on board, so we're going to deal with you, Glint, as you ascend up to the top. You are pulled aboard around here. Sorry, I'm trying to get a good angle on everything. The captain isn't much talking to you, but that's the first mate's job. That's going to be, first mate Vorin. You see once more the Goliath individual, completely bald, helping you up with a deckhand. He's going to say, welcome back aboard the Silver Sun. Glint, right?
That's the one. Greetings. I apologize for the retinue that will be following me shortly. They will be...
Oh, your party. Yeah, and that's no problem. And then at that point, Frederick comes over and he's like, what the fuck? And like steps back. And he's like, what?
Do you need any deckhands at the moment?
Maybe a persuasion check.
That was a 19 and a 15, so a 15 total.
15 total? That's a tough sell. He says, wait, that's an undead. How do you have undead?
It's a long story, but they are with us. They've been guarding us through the wastes as we are transporting a dangerous artifact. I assure you, they will not bring any harm upon you.
And he doesn't really know what to say, but then you hear the voice of the captain ring down. Captain Oral, who is going to say, what's going on down there, Vereen? And he'll say, oh, Captain, there's an undead, there's a skeleton here. And he just goes, well, find him somewhere to stay. Don't have all day. But Captain, it's, and he goes, it's not our business. We are told to take them to Vasselheim. If they want to bring along a playmate, that's not our business.
19 playmates. Apologies.
Not bloody hell, you know what? They got to stay in the cargo hold.
That's fine.
But fine. And he's going to like open a hatch, which Frederick will tip his helmet at you, Glint, and like do one of those into the cargo bay. You guys will begin to all come up. Ember, Nyx, Yvain, Beverly, Zarvolg with dog over shoulder. And then the myriad of like almost like Snow White's dwarves, a little like and just like a line of a great number of them. And the first mate is like losing his shit a little bit. He's like, this is so illegal. This is so illegal. And the captain's like, it's not we were commissioned. It's not, just shut up and do your job. And eventually, you go, last man on the drop, bring him up. Let's head out to Vasselheim. And at that point, Finch, your hand is grabbed by the great Goliath arm that pulls you up on. You've never seen a Goliath so pale, but he's like, what the fuck? And he's gonna go be a first mate. But you guys all make it successfully onto the ship, and the ship begins to take flight. And the captain Orel says, "All right, men, we're gonna push it a little bit. I want to get to Vasselheim as quick as possible. We have deadly cargo." And she is going to come down and she's going to look at your group. She's gonna say, "All right, I'm the captain of this vessel. I'm told you have deadly cargo, yeah?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to ask because I don't want to know, but is it secure?
Yes.
Yes.
And who is it secure with? So I know who the MVP is.
I believe it's already in the cargo hold.
Ah. She will say, Mr. Voreen, and the first mate will say, "Aye." He says, "Padlock the cargo hold. No one's going in and or out unsupervised." He goes, "All right, Captain." And you see some pretty hefty locks are jammed on the two openings to the cargo bay. And that'll be that. They even pull the cook out. Yeah, they would brought the cook. They pull the cook out of the lower deck. Say, anyone who wants to sleep is either sleeping on the main deck or in my quarters. Lower quarters are off hold, and we'll just go back to work.
Do you mind if I'll need to visit the cargo hold daily just to upkeep the additional passengers and make sure that nothing out of sorts occurs, any control is lost, that sort of thing.
Sure, it's your situation, so whatever you want to do. And she will take the key off of the belt loop of the first mate and pull one off the ring and toss it to you.
Yeah,
and she will take the other key and secure it in her jacket.
While this is going on, can I discreetly find Yvain?
Yeah, easily done. We'll say towards the bow of the ship. You catch up with Yvain.
Are we in private, or are there other people around us?
There's other people around, but you can talk hushed and hope it's not heard. It's a with all these skeletons, it's a tight ship, right?
Okay,
but you can talk lowly, and
I'm gonna do just that. And I'm just gonna say, while I'm glad that we are rescued now, I can't help but maybe I'm feeling a little, maybe I'm a little anxious. But I feel like we need to have our wits about us at all times, even if this vessel feels familiar, if this all feels familiar. We've been warned to be mindful of the Spider Queen's deception. And I'm not completely sold unless there is a way that we can verify that this is the help that we called for, that we are in safe hands.
Do you have your truth spell?
I do.
Throw it up and ask the captain something.
But what? Is there a way that we can verify? Not like a secret password, but like trying to figure out if there's a way that we can verify from the sources that we've requested this help from that this is the person that we asked for. How can we be certain that this is?
Ask them from whom the commission came.
Okay.
And ask for a specific name, because there's only two names and we haven't spoken either of those names out loud, really.
That's true.
That's what I would do. But you're right. We should be mindful.
And again, maybe I am being too cautious, but I just feel like there has been quite the deception, and I want to believe that we're in safe hands, but we are.
There's no such thing as too cautious until this thing is out of our hands.
Correct. And we are very high off the ground and nowhere to go. So
we should actually have a group discussion about that. Some of us can fly if something happens. We should have a means to collect everyone and.
Okay. Do we want to do that before? And I would like to not. I think I want to be cautious as well, to not offend in case this is true help. I'd like to have a plan in place for when I put up that spell and impose upon the captain of the ship, as I don't want to cause offense if this is truly help that's been sent, because I'm assuming if that's the case, then they've come very far out of their way to come get us.
Do you think it could be as simple as saying, so there's deadly cargo and you needed to verify something. Do you mind if I verify your identity with the truth spell? And just let them know what you're going to ask, and let you know I'm going to ask this thing. You know,
Mhm.
you're not going to be compelled to speak, but while you're in this area, you won't
Okay.
be able to lie if you choose to speak. Like maybe just explain it to them.
We can do that. Do you want to find the rest of our crew first and have a discussion in case
Yeah,
something goes awry?
let's go get everyone together and
Okay.
talk about like who can fly, who can't fly.
Mm-hmm.
What do we need to do if this thing goes sideways?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, group huddle. Group
It
huddle.
is not difficult, considering like you guys can see the scale here. It
Yeah.
is a tight ship, even with all the skellies below. It's a tight ship. You can gather the crew towards the front of the ship if you want. Dock hands will occasionally have to like bump by you and get in the middle of your conversation to like tie down ropes and such and then leave you alone. But generally you can have as private a conversation as possible.
Yeah, so Finch mentioned we're really high up in the air. And just like when we were underground and we had like a little water breathing thing going on in case shit happened, I do wonder if we should get like a little feather fall sort of thing going. Worst case scenario, I can always turn into a bird. And as a giant eagle, I could turn into something that can grab something. If Fen's nearby, I can turn Fen into something that can swoop above a whole bunch of people. I think Zarval can fly if something happened. I think maybe Nyx can fly.
I think Nick said that she could fly.
And Finch, you can fly. So who needs a lift if things went sideways and we had to jump, or were jumping whether we wanted to or not?
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the moment I can fall safely.
All right.
That might be all we need. So Ember, you're on mute.
Ember, your silent spell is active.
I strongly resemble a rock.
Okay. So eyes on Ember if we have to
Actually-
go over.
Or do you have an attunement slot open available? I have pauldrons of featherfall.
No, I don't.
Okay, what about Beverly?
You said like, what are we gonna do if we have to jump off? And you look at her and she's like, like, what do you mean? Like, you can
Beverly, darling, I have something for you. And I'm going to hand her the Griffin's pauldron, the Griffin's beak pauldrons.
What? I'm so wow. I'm getting thrown a lot's being thrown at me. These are these are your things, really?
Yeah, so I don't have an attunement slot open, but honestly, truthfully, I can turn into a bird and just sort of fly down. But if you put these
Whoa.
on, but listen, once you're like attuned to them, there's no turning them off. Like you can't just choose. So like if you bolt off someplace, you're going to be floating down. Like that's just it.
Okay.
All right.
Just so I'm being very clear, because I mean, so if I jump off somewhere really high and I'm wearing these, I won't die, is what you're saying.
That is correct.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
I have
Looks
a
off the side.
I
Yeah,
have
go
a
ahead.
separate question for Glint.
Mm-hmm.
Is Roderick's head empty?
Yes, it
Well,
is.
that's kind of mean, but whatever.
Would utilizing his skull as a vessel do him harm in any way?
What are you putting in there? Are you using it in the sense of your ring situation?
No, I'm going to reach into my pocket, take out Red's flask, open it, and send Red in gaseous form to sit inside of Frodrick's skull.
Yeah, you got down below decks, like the fucking whole platoon is like chilling around, and Frederick's like, "Oh yeah, the great Lord Glint has proffered me with this great responsibility." This smoke shoots into his face, and he goes, "Ah!" And they're all like, "Holy shit!" And he's like, "Ah, what? Ah." And it doesn't matter because he's a skeleton. Yes. But
It's two little
He's like-
fingers out of the sockets.
he's definitely like that, like the friend who's like always making jokes and laughing, and then the moment he's alone, he's like, because it's like all this traumatic shit's been happening to him the last 3 days. Stuffed an evil box in his rib cage, and now there's a smoke can in his brain, and he's like, but he's okay. It's fine. The powers of undeath make him a stout warrior regardless.
That has
Uh,
the advantage of, one, I can see where Broderick is,
Mm-hmm.
and as long as we are on the same plane, I can share that senses, and I can speak through red. So
Oh. So
I thought that would be terribly handy.
We could basically two mages in a trench coat a skeleton at some point.
Yes.
I love all
Yes.
of this.
Fascinating. I'll make note of that for future endeavors.
But I thought until we get to Vasselheim, that may be a wise move.
Mhm. I agree. I could lock up the cargo hold entrance if needed with an arcane binding. Beyond that, are we sure the people we're with are the people that got us to Lirengorn?
That's been my concern. That's what I confronted Yvain about. It's my intent to cast a truth spell and inquire to the captain from whom she received our commission.
Mhm.
And while she might be aware that the spell is up, she will not be able to be deceitful in that
Interesting.
area.
All right.
I understand the level of paranoia, but I can't help but feel like that it is very, very rude.
It could be perceived that way. I think, as Yvain and I were speaking, I don't think that it is considered rude under these circumstances. If we were to confront the captain in a neutral fashion and ask under these circumstances for her to confirm from whom she received this directive. Obviously, if we were to go in there guns blazing and weapons out, I could certainly see how that would cause offense, but I feel like as any military person might understand, I don't think it is a crazy request to ask her to confirm from whom she received her orders from.
Privately and with a great deal of discretion. If I were commandeered to provide a rescue that was out of their way, to have their honor questioned in anything like a public manner, unless there truly is a problem, it strikes me as being very rude. I can understand the desire to have that conversation, but with the utmost of care and privacy, as much privacy as we can have.
What worries me more is we have had an aerial beast dogging us for several days, and we are currently on a quite slow-moving flying ship.
I will have you know that the ship is moving quite fast in this moment.
Oh, how fast?
It is a great question, which I'll get to you. You know what? Make me a survival check to see if you can determine exactly how fast you're moving.
Okay.
But you're moving faster than you were moving on your arrival.
Okay. That is going to be a whole 13.
Whole 13. You are not sure, other than to say that they are moving faster than you were.
A relatively nimble flying ship.
Do you think he's flying as fast as a dragon?
You know what? Yeah, Zarvolg, the king of survival, is going to say, I'd be surprised if that big thing could catch us up. I mean, we're moving pretty quick.
That's a relief.
That's a relief, yeah. I might be able to make us move a little bit faster once we're done talking about things.
I do have one thing I can do as well to check in on the crew identity.
Yeah, to be clear, you guys are moving faster in the ship than you have ever moved in your entire lives. Like, you've never been aboard a horse, maybe in a dead sprint, but, you know, like in an instance of like great sprinting speed that can only happen for a little bit of time, maybe, but for a steady pace, this is as fast as you've ever traveled. Any of you.
Wow.
Maybe not Nyx. Nyx has lived a very extraordinary life. Might have done some crazy shit you don't know about.
I could also cast a sending spell to one of the crew folk that we're familiar with. Because that would be delivered to its intended recipient, even if someone is pretending to be them.
That's more subtle.
We also have an ace up our sleeves as well, which we could talk about at a later time if that doesn't work. And I'm going to slowly turn and look at Beverly.
What?
Now, I'm not saying that this is something that we need to execute. However, it's my understanding that you have the capability of changing your appearance into whatever you see fit.
For kind of. There's limits, but kind of.
Okay. If the situation were to call for it, would you be able to change your appearance to somebody from the crew? Or perhaps the image of the captain? We can discuss what that would look like in order to ascertain additional information about the individuals that we're traveling with.
I can't change my clothes. She kind of turns her head and looks around the mast at the captain, kind of like, almost like he's like really studying her, and then kind of like he's nodding her head and turns back and goes, "But I could look like her."
Okay. I'm not saying we do that now. I don't want to put you in danger, but I just want to call out that you have some very special and specific gifts that we could use to our advantage.
She kind of like finds herself like looking around the whole party.
Like,
Vane's smiling. Yeah, what are people's reactions to Finch's idea? Like as Beverly looks around, what does she see for you guys?
Equal parts concern and intrigue for Glint.
Okay. I'm curious about Ember. What's on your face, Ember?
It's a remarkably good idea, and there is a whole bunch of stacked questions. You know, it's a question about wardrobe, and it's a question about language and diction, and you know, all of these other pieces. You know, how controllable, how male, because he has no background with anything Fey. So, you know.
Yeah. But nothing that you would consider like judgmental directed at Beverly.
No,
right?
Absolutely not.
Okay, cool. So basically she looks around and she sees maybe appearances of like questioning and quizzical curiosity. But she looks around at the party and it seems like she doesn't. Oh yeah, Nix, I didn't hear from you. What are you?
Nick,
What are you
Nix nudges and leans over to Bev and be like, I actually have a disguise kit you might find useful later, if the need arises.
She kind of like looks around. She's getting like, I imagine Zarvolg is like, yeah, go get him, kid, or something like that. And she looks around and she's surprised to see like acceptance for and like the use of the word gift when referencing her abilities, and she maybe remembers her talk on the road with you, Nix, and her shoulders so slightly go back a little bit, and she kind of, okay, yeah, if you, yeah, whatever you guys need.
And that reminds me, when we do get to Vasselheim, if you wanted to pick out some wardrobe, Bev, I've got some storage space that I could keep several changes of clothes in if you needed it for future endeavors. And I would be more than happy to store them for you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, okay. You might see just like the slightest like quiver of the chin, that little like almost like maybe like welling up a little bit from all of the acceptance and kindness thrown her way, and she looks very very pleased and happy as you've ever seen her in the last little while. She seems to have regained her confidence in this moment. And that's then cool. So, all right. So with that, Beverly is. Oh yeah, next, please.
Something that was never mentioned. Why couldn't we just send a message to the people who sent the ship to make, confirm who they sent? Is that an option?
Zarvolg says, I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's hard to fake an entire sky ship.
Certainly. I could manage a few spells of third circle. I could send more than one sending.
So with that noted, maybe the party kind of goes in their directions to try and authenticate stuff. Yes, Yvain?
Yvain would like to go see the captain real quick.
Okay. Is Finch going along to for a little Zoni of Truthy?
I think so. I don't know if I'm gonna execute that spell right in this moment, but I'm gonna go with Yvain and play it by ear.
Okay. I think Beverly is going to go with you guys because she wants to get a good look at the captain if she's going to potentially do a little swap. So you three make it up to the top deck. The captain's just kind of looking over. Every now and then she'll call out and say like, I don't know ship terms as well as some people. But so she's saying like crazy terms, like such great terms, like sailor terms, like crazy. She's like, pull that rope up. I want the mainmast sturdy and right. And she will turn and say, what can I do for you all?
You had mentioned wanting to get there as quickly as possible. I can give you a little more speed for an hour. I know it's only an hour, but it's what I've got.
If you want to, every inch counts. Apparently.
Control winds.
All right. The winds sort of fill the sails, and it will help to a small degree. Sugar. Yeah, it could be useful. Thank you.
Well, I got an hour a day, but if it gets us a little faster.
You know what? I gotta swap back on you. She's gonna say, actually, could you pull back on that? This doesn't work quite like a sailing ship. The sails are more for steering than for acceleration. Sorry, thanks. If you pull back on that, because I appreciate the sentiment. It's the I won't get into all the details and bore you, but it's the flagstones are for levitation and acceleration.
Well, since I've got an hour of this spell, I will probably play around with, like, if I create enough of a downdraft, can I levitate myself?
She's
She's gonna see if she can power around like Storm.
Oh, no. I apologize. My mistake. Sorry, I'm looking at it now. No, she'll be very happy, and rather than say like turn it off altogether, she will very specifically direct you as to where the wind will be most beneficial. She's like, give us like a downdraft. It'll give us some lift, and if we are focused on lift, we can get accelerate. She'll explain it, but she'll ask for very specific direction and acceleration of wind, and she'll be very happy for that and say, no, that's pretty helpful. I mean, it's only an hour, but like you said, this is a priority, and every inch, every mile counts. So thank you.
For an hour a day, I will come up here and
She says, well, with your little trick, I think we'll get there in 3 days. It's going to be a little more, but this will do good. Thank you.
I have a couple questions, magic-wise.
You're there with them?
Oh no, out of character purely.
Okay, we'll come back to you in a second.
Yeah.
I just want to finish
No
up with
rush.
your and Finch. She'll look over at you guys and go, thanks for the help, but if there's nothing else, a lot of work to be done around here to keep this thing going fast.
I think I'll look at Yvain just to kind of like do one of those like visual exchanges, like how are we feeling about the situation? Should we let it go for now? Yeah. Okay. We want to keep going away.
Well,
All right.
whatever it is, spit it out.
Apologies. We'll leave you to it, Captain. Thank you.
Okay. She goes, short up on that, and she'll go back to yelling at the crew, and you guys can, and you do, it's pretty constant, her calls to the people on the ship, and you see them running around and pulling ropes like consistently. You get the sense that the speed that they're driving at is it's not a cruise speed, let's put it that way. It's gonna take very specific care to maintain. And Beverly gives you like a little quiet nod, Yvain and Finch, as if to say like she's pretty sure she's got the artistry of that person's appearance down.
Got it.
Yes, Glint. I will say, for the sake of your curiosities, you are met once more by Master Builder Alvar Starkfern, who says, "Oh, Mr. Grimhelm, it is oh, I forgot. Gnomes are Italian now because I said so." He goes, Mr. Grimhelm, it is good to see you. Welcome back to the ship. How are you doing?
Master Builder, wonderful to see you as well. I was wondering, could you fill me in on a little something?
Of course, it is my pleasure to talk about my work.
Of course. Now, I'm sure that you heard that we're covering some dangerous cargo. Has anything odd happened with the crew lately on your vessel?
Anything odd with the crew? I don't spend a lot of time focusing on the crew, but there's always some things. How strange are we talking about here? Because
Abrupt new
I'm pretty
hires?
sure of. What was that?
Any abrupt new hires? Anyone coming on short notice?
Oh no, the captain's very particular about the crew. Unless there's pretty extreme circumstances, she likes to work with people that she knows with. I'm the only person on the crew that she hasn't had too much past knowledge with, but I am a necessity to keep the ship running, you know?
Of course. Would you be able to tell me who contacted this lovely ship to come pick us up? We're just trying to, confirm all the details on our end and be sure that we'll be safe on our trip to Vasselheim.
I'm going to see if he managed to get that information. He says, I wasn't sure. It was actually all very sudden. The captain and the first mate just kind of turned around and told us we're heading to Vasselheim and making a pit stop for the MVP crew and whatever. I managed to get out of him that it was all of you again, but other than that, we were told that it was a MVP, speedy delivery, dangerous cargo, kind of a thing.
Delightful. Thank you. I was considering casting a few spells on the ship to see if I could keep it a little bit safe. However, I'm not used to casting things on moving vehicles. Do you know if my casting, say, a spell of alarm or the like, would the alarm stay with the ship, or would it simply skate on into oblivion, and I'd be warding a particular patch of cloud for the next day?
That's a good point. It depends on the spell, to be sure. If you're, like for example, something of a longer duration would travel with the state of the planet and the rotation of the planet as opposed to the movement of the vehicle. But if you were to do something that locks on to, say, a specific item here on the ship, or what I believe an alarm spell would work just fine because you have to drop down the wire, and the wire will create it's specific to the object and place of the structure as opposed to the open space. If that makes sense.
It does. It does. Glint's going to, I think, grab one of his multiple spell books and flip open to the private sanctum spell.
Yeah.
Do you know if I'd be able to cast this on the vessel?
Let me think. And he'll look at the spell and he'll talk it out with you. I'll say as you two are working together, he'll get advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You make an area within range. You set the spell. I think he will tell you. He says, I think it'll be tricky. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it'll be a little tricky. It just, it's all about, and he's going to begin to like explain to you his calculations and a lot of like arcane arithmetic that has gone into the actual creation of the ship. And he'll basically try and explain to you a different way of using your arcana to lock onto the ship as the basis of the stationary portion of the spell, as opposed to the actual planetary measurements, which is the difference. So I will say, if you want to cast this, you will be able to. You can make an Arcana check to properly do so.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, make me an Arcana check.
The 19.
19. Fantastic. Yeah, you. And a moment later, your private sanctum is active on the ship. Which properties would you like to have activated? Are they the same as before?
So yeah, same ones. I don't want us to not be able to see beyond the boundaries of the ship.
Okay.
That sounds like a bad idea for a sky ship. So yeah, basically no divination, no teleportation onto it. Yeah, basically turning it into a stealth ship for the time being.
Fair enough. Okay. So no divination, no teleportation. Understood. And you managed to do this. And I will say, for the duration of this voyage, you may continue to recast as needed, and it will be just fine.
Delightful. Okay. And then, I know that Allura, was it Allura or Vixalia that messaged Zarvog about us having things chartered and having the ship coming to pick us up?
He'd tell you that it was actually, it was because she can't cast it, but he says it was Allura, but it sounded like Allura might. Yeah, he'll just say it was Allura. That's all he'll say.
And she's warded against receiving sendings. Is that correct?
Someone attempted to send to her while she was asleep, and it didn't work. But people have sent to her in the past, and it has worked. I think a passive insight would tell you that it's just like something she puts on after hours, so that she can sleep and not be disturbed.
Yeah, I think Glint's then going to take Nyx's advice and just cast a sending to Allura, and basically ask, "Hello, this is Glint, checking in. We were picked up by the airship, whatever the name of the airship is. Just
Silver
wanted
Sun.
by the airship Silver Sun, wanted to check and be sure that's real. Thank you.
Okay. She won't get the thank you, but you get everything else. And you get her sending back rather quickly. And she will say, yes, the Silver Sun was dispatched to pick you all up. I'm told with the original crew. Please let me know if there are any issues.
Alrighty. And then outside of that, Glint will convey this to the party, of course. And probably head down, I think, below decks for the moment, just to check in on the skeletons and also make sure that Frederick isn't leaking from the slowly thawing block of ice inside of his chest plate.
You see Frederick in the corner doing this. And you go over and do a little inspection of Frederick, and his eyes are all like smoky and black and cindery. And you look under, and it is absolutely beginning to melt. Because perhaps there is a fire elemental encased in its head. Heat does rise, but it's little by little affecting, and also the belly of the ship is warm, and that is more to the reason why. It is definitely beginning to thaw.
Ember, if you're about.
I will say that, like, I imagine your plate is fitted to his skeleton form and can, like, hold it up. I don't think there's too much to worry about.
Yeah.
But the ice being an extra precaution, but it still will function. The ribcage will still hold it if needed.
Yeah. Glenn will just do what he can to clean up and make sure that there's not going to be a giant mess that's clearly pointing to which skeleton has the thing inside of it. And yeah, I think that'll be it for now, past just casting an alarm on the hatch of the hold, just to kind of telepathically ping Glint whenever someone's going through it.
Okay. Understood. Understood. Okay. With that, the days will begin to sail by. You guys all get a sleep. The captain's quarters have been largely open to the crew and to you guys to utilize. A lot of her stuff has been locked away in various chests and armoires and whatnots. Some supplies, sometimes it's unlocked so that certain people can go downstairs to either get like hammocks and whatnot for sleep, or like foodstuffs. But like the food's terrible because they don't have access to their kitchen because they're locking off the main hall. But so it is like
that is not an issue,
right?
I will.
How dare I?
Cook. I can handle that.
Tell you what, yeah, maybe a little cooking check to see if you can do some sort of like open deck cooking situation. It's a little tricky, but maybe not too off for Ember. So let's call it proficiency, of course, plus whatever ability score you think Ember might utilize for cooking most aptly.
I would
wisdom.
think wisdom, maybe.
Yeah, wisdom makes sense. Yeah, you've worked in a busy kitchen, so I won't give you disadvantage because there's people running around you to keep the ship running. So go ahead and make me a check.
Oh, well, that was just absolutely rotten. 4, 5. That'll get me to a grand whopping total of 9.
9.
Which is the absolute bottom of what I can do.
Oh man, that's tough. You're doing the best you can. It's a little tricky because the ship is going really fast. It's a little unbalanced, and maybe once or twice, like whatever cauldron you're working in, sort of like tips and some of it falls out, or maybe there's like debris just from like the sky, like makes it hard to keep that heating element consistent because of various cold winds that blow in, and you serve food, and I will say it is better than just like the shit whatever, like out of the box rations. It isn't your best work to be sure, but you manage to get like put a little heat to it at least, and maybe make it run a little wider, and you're doing good. And it's not your best work. You might not feel good about it. It's a little too cold or a little too salty or like way too hot or whatever, but it's certainly better than what would have been. Okay.
Just not up to par.
Day 1 goes fine. You all get your sleep, long rest. Day 2 goes by. Around the end of day 2, Ember, Red comes up from the hold and starts poking you and pointing down to the hold.
Okay, down we'll go.
Okay, you grab Glint, probably, because he's got the key.
Yep.
You guys go down to the hold. You two sort of poke your heads down. You see that the skeletons are all kind of like they're completely stationary. They don't need to breathe or anything. So they're like, may as well be statues that are just standing around down there, sitting on whatever. The entire cargo hold is loosely covered at this point in webbing, but not like you've ever seen before. It is loosely covered in it's thick, it's long, and it's slightly hot. And you can see there's almost like little glows, like the embers of a forge coming off of this webbing. As of right now, it's like a thin veil over everything, and there's a couple here and there sort of solidifying portions, especially towards the walls. And there are egg sacs sort of in the webbing, and you see 2 of these medium-sized spiders. They are like giant spiders, quote unquote, but their arms are serrated, like they have spikes that go all the way down all of their 8 limbs. The back of their abdomen, again, spines coming off the back, and their abdomens are like glowing red as if there's a fire within, and they have locked together serrated teeth at the head instead of mandibles. And they're medium-sized, so they're maybe like, they're probably Glint-sized, standing at full height, but they move across the webbing and are like making webbing amongst themselves, and they kind of move in and around the various skeletons, and little egg pods are kind of everywhere. And Red does like one of these.
Thank you, Red.
I'm not sure how they got here.
Oh, I got a pretty good idea.
Well, obviously the ground. They couldn't teleport in. They couldn't travel from another plane. They couldn't phase in from the ethereal for the same reason. Did they just detach from the ground and grow?
I will say the one place where there isn't a lot of webbing is around Frederick, who's sitting at the very, very back of the hold, and he's armed with a spear, I believe. He's kind of like in the back of the hold, like doing one of these, like stay away. And he's like one of the only skeletons that isn't like webbed in any way. Occasionally they'll like crawl up towards Frederick and kind of like try and find an angle, and Frederick just kind of keeps the spear between them and him, and then they kind of like bite at him, like try and like bite, and then he keeps them back, and then they give up and kind of go back to spinning web.
I'm gonna message Finch. Bring Yvain.
Man.
Yeah, very much. We have uninvited guests.
So I will find Yvain and make my way to the party.
Okay. Yvain, Finch. Hey, Nick, something cool's going on down there. Would you want to see what's going on?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Nyx falls into, and all of you find your. To be clear, you're like stuffed at the stairs or got your heads poked down because it's not a lot of room to stand in, because of all the webbing. But all of you see the creepy vista, beginning to appear down in the lower hold on the second night, evening.
Do you think we should try and kill those things, clear out the
I
webbing?
think that might
yeah.
be a good idea.
Ember, this shit
Yeah.
is flammable. I love you. Just a reminder.
All right, how do we intend to spider spray here?
Are the skeletons that are webbed up, do they seem to be thoroughly like destroyed, or are they still active?
No. It hasn't gotten that bad. My brain was trying to find the point where like Red's like, okay, something's up, and would come up. So no, they're not webbed. You get the sense that they could probably stand off, and with like, I would say an action, they could like do one of these and like get mostly free of whatever webbing's on them. But
mean-
even in their current state, I just call it like difficult terrain. They're not restrained.
I could stick the skellies on them if you like.
I think if you set them to clearing the webbing and specifically stomping the egg sacs, the spiders will make their displeasure known, and we can deal with them.
Well, whenever we're ready then, do let me know, and we'll get right on it.
Unless you two have a better idea, and Ember will look at Finch and Yvain. Nyx.
Not at this point.
Killing the
Okay.
spider sounds smart.
I'll tell you what, Finch. Your paladin instinct,
Mm-hmm.
your ASMR form. Actually, it's more towards that, is what I'm going to say. Finch,
Okay.
you are celestial in blood, and though it's not perfect, you are like what you are repels certain things, and vice versa.
Okay.
As you witness these corrupt-looking spider creatures, something inside you, like instinctually, your stomach maybe rolls over in like disgust and displeasure for these creatures.
Mm-hmm.
More so than you've ever for like a spider. Like spiders are creepy, but there's something intrinsic to your being that is like, nope, don't like this.
Okay.
Would you perhaps let off a divine sense?
I was thinking that, to be honest. I was thinking about doing that before, and I think I'm going to. Because,
Yep,
yeah.
You ping off your senses, and and you're blinded in this moment because there's a lot of undead.
That's why I was hesitant, but to see if it would discern the difference between the skellies and anything else.
And it definitely does. You get all of the undead down here. You get a little ding. What are you doing? That's a necromancer from Bahamut. I'm just kidding. But you do get a lot of fiendish signatures as well. The two spiders are absolutely fiends. Whatever's in these egg sacs are all fiends as well.
And I will communicate that to the party. So if that's the case...
It's not ideal, is it?
So there's a saying, kill it with fire, and Ember is the fireman. Is there any way to
I have radiant
controlled
energy.
burns? Ooh, okay.
But if they're fiendish, they're probably not going to respond well to fire. If they're fiendish, we should probably Well, but Ember's fire is different. Ember's fire is special. Ember's fire burns anything.
Well, I won't say anything, but
All hail the fire god.
I mean,
I don't
we could do a
know.
test shot.
We could. I mean, it's just two of them. I'd rather
Sarval
not
goes, are you guys just gonna stare at them all day, or are you gonna do something?
I'm gonna hold up my hand
Well,
and I'm
we
gonna.
shoot them.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
hold out my one hand and I'm gonna cast Sacred Flame at one of them.
All right, Sacred Flame. That's a failure on its part. Go ahead and roll damage.
Okay. Right dice here. That is okay. And that is, let's see here. 8, 9, 10, 12 points of radiant damage.
You snap your finger and Sacred Flame burns around one of these living spiders, and it in like great pain, and it turns around and starts moving to you and is going to try and bite you to get back at you. 13. It's like onto your gauntlet. You're like, no, please don't stop.
And I'm going to actually, so if it's actually coming at me and it misses, I'm going to riposte that and try and hit it again with my Warhammer.
Fucking right. Get it.
All right.
Roll
So
mine.
that is going to be...
I'll give you advantage because there's so many skeleton allies in here that you probably
Okay, then I'll crit fish on that. No.
Sure.
But that is going to be 22 to hit.
It bites down on your arm. And you're like, just wait for that moment. You gotta boom, and you bash it over the head, and it dies. It had like no hit points left, and it falls to the ground, and kind of like rigor mortises into itself. The other one turns around, is like, and what does anyone else do as it starts to?
I'll pop a chromatic orb at it with thunder damage. See if it hits.
Go for it. Roll me an attack roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast it at a second level.
Cool.
It's a 27 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit. Roll me some damage.
Right. 9 and 10, 11, and 16 points of thunder.
Its body, its exoskeletal body, sort of ruptures under the force of your thunder, and it sort of like rigor mortises as well, and kind of falls through the webbing, dead as well.
Okay.
All that's left in here to deal with is the actual webs and the eggs themselves. Yes, Yvain.
Devane would like to take Frostbite, the cantrip, and start going over the webbing and the egg sacs.
Oh,
okay.
Or not?
Let me do this the easy way.
As
I'll Glint, can you please move your skeletons to this side of the vessel?
Of course, gentlemen.
And I will bring hands the other side.
Got it. They all stand up and they move to the other side. And as they move and like start really heavily disturbing the webs, they're like move to the other side, and some of the eggs sort of get jostled, and the little heads stick up and out. And there's and you let off some fire. You ignite the webs and the creatures within those webs. Immediately, like a big fire takes off, but
control flame. No, do not spread.
Easy. Yes, I will say, Ember, per your mastery of fire, you certainly set off well, I will say this, which is interesting, is that it doesn't like fully ignite the entire bottom immediately. Whatever is about these webs, there's something flame incorporated to them, and per them being demonic spiders, and it does begin to sort of trickle along the webs, but very easy for you to control. And by the end of it, you are able to torch free the hold of any webs or eggs, and the threat is annihilated.
Ew.
Yeah, that's quite terrible.
Huh.
do we arrive in Vasselheim tomorrow, or is it the day after? The day after.
None too soon.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I was feeling.
Though, Ember, you were very precise in your controlled measure of the flame, you guys will notice that the ground in the hold there's sort of a hissing sound on the ground, and you see where like the blood fell, the various spiders, like a fairly acidic, toxic kind of burn hits the ground, but Ember's fire sort of licks up the blood and it dissolves. You guys just avoided a potentially hazardous encounter.
Thank you, Red.
Red does one of these and does like a bow. And then we'll turn around and do one of these at Frederick. Starts sailing across the hole, and Frederick goes, and then it goes right past into his skull, and he's like,
Glint will turn to the skeletons. Gentlemen, if any more spiders do appear, please stab them until they cease being recognizable as spiders.
19 hands all go. They all, one of them cries patriotically, a single tear, and then bring their hands back down.
They're so helpful, but this never ceases to be terrifying.
I'm so proud of
For
my
the
children.
wrath of Glint Grimhelm. Is what they're saying in their skeleton mouth gibberings. Okay, it's time to get to the fun stuff. That night goes by without a hitch. The next day arises, and you have quite a fun sight on the horizon. You look off from the front deck, and you are all going to see the majesty of Vasselheim down behind you. You have officially hit that wondrous place. I am going to display a map for you guys to see in due time. I'm just working out how the new Roll20 works, but you're going to see it. We are wrapping up the session in just a moment. I just want to close us out because it is getting a little late.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys will see the beauty of Vasselheim before you. You're told there's some ways to go before we reach Vasselheim, but it's on the way, don't worry. And you're drawing closer now. Allow me to final touches here, and I will show you Vasselheim. So them's Vasselheim on Roll20. Big continent. Yep.
I just see a white screen currently. I might have to reload.
Yeah, maybe do a little refresh if you're not seeing it. But you guys begin to make your way up, and as you are making your way up and begin to cross over, there is gonna be some stuff that happens for sure. I'm afraid to say. This will not go by without a hitch. Close, but not quite. As you are traveling forward and even more forward, your ship is going to receive a pretty big, like a smash for all intents and purposes. You guys Beverly's like, hey, what's that? And you guys see a little reverberance in the air, coming towards you and getting bigger. And then as it's like, looks like it's going to pass by you, instinct tells you, like, maybe Finch, you get like a hand over Beverly instinctively, or a shield before Beverly. And in that moment, this weird sort of almost wave hits the front of your ship, and the ship lurches like crazy. Some of you are knocked off of your feet, some of you are not, but a terrific amount of force smashes into the front of your ship. This ship is going to take 26 points of force damage to the hull. This prototype ship. And they're all like, man, your stations, what did we hit? And then there is another thud that hits the front of the ship, and you are going to see coming out of invisibility, sort of fading off and around, you are going to see purple stars and a cat-like form with great wings and a mithril mask over its face. You see what you would know to be an Adrenok. That's right. And it is a big one. It's bigger than you have seen before. Certainly bigger than your old companions. I will post in the Facebook chat to remind you what an Adrenok looks like, and you are encountering the bigger of the two in this moment. as it appears there, it sort of lets out this almost like serene, like whale sound, this sort of alien song. And as it does so, you're going to hear, and as some heads are whipped around, you're going to see another form standing at the back. You see this drow woman. She has long, flowing red hair. She also has a number of blades in her hands because she has 6 arms. And she sort of floats in the air and looks at all of you and goes, shh. And she swings a blade back and is going to hit the great pink stone, draw her blade forward, and sort of move to attack. And that is where we're going to end the session.
All right.
I will send you guys a picture of what this strange assailant looks like because she's pretty cool.
What is the League of Miracles doing in all this?
Sons of bitches.
I thought
This
they
is
made a
what's-
big deal out of being like
Like the Cosmic
only ones,
Kitty.
the Andronauts.
Cosmic Kitty, that's right.
Oh, she
Facebook,
looks
you'll see what your
so
assailant looks like. Some of you might recognize this.
Assailant.
Okay.
Ooh. She got a lot of arms.
She does have a lot of arms.
Okay, but that cat looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a big, cute cat.
Oh, I want to cuddle the Cosmic Kitty. I don't want to fight it.
Why is it friend-shaped?
Right?
If not
Yeah,
friend, why friend shaped?
It's friend shaped, and that's the problem. It's expected. But she's
Not friend-shaped, to be sure.